Hey family, we're back once again for the fourth time with the AFN International Saturday Scrimmage. Your boys from the Scottish Falcons, the flagship show of the AFN International expansion. With me to my right, my co-host with the most, the Scottish Falcon himself, Des Stevenson. Des, how are you, my brother?
Fantastic. Who'd have thought? Show number 11, number 4 of the Saturday Scrimmage. It's flew past. Who'd have thought that two guys from Scotland would have so much to talk about with the Atlanta Falcons? Absolutely crazy.
I know but at the same time, it's a blessing because, as I say, the ethos behind this all was, as you say, the hashtag speaks for themselves. When me and Maggie first started talking about it, it was all kind of spreading the vibe and the whole gang atmosphere of the Atlanta Falcons around the world. And as I say, we've been there long enough and suffered the trials and tribulations, so to speak. So yeah, as I say, that's what it's all about. But yeah, we did see when we were getting ready for the show as well that there were some of you that were in the building very, very early. So shout out to y'all. Miss Sonia dropping the red and blacks as always. Big Ant, thank you, my big brother. The nose tackle of AFN in the building. There was another one, Southside Ricky. He's always in the building as well, showing love. So yeah, thank you for, as I say, hanging around early, getting ready for your boys. So yeah, Des, before we get into it, another Saturday. So how's your week been? Have you spotted any major things yourself from camp?
Yeah, well, obviously how well it's going. I think the sports media have started to kind of fall into place where a lot of the stuff that's been happening in camp.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't want to. I mean, obviously, I don't think they're back now until they were off today. They're off tomorrow, and then they're back on Monday. So, apart from Jalen Walker's minor hamstring injury, there doesn't seem to be any issues. Cross our fingers, touch wood. But there doesn't seem to be any issues with injuries or obviously we've got Troy Anderson, but again he was injured before he actually came into training camp. So I mean, you have to be optimistic about how everything's went in training camp. I mean, we're going to talk about it a wee bit more, but you scroll through Twitter and you read about some of the other teams, like Tyler Shocker is not doing well in training camp, which is great to hear.
Yep.
You hear about Chicago, Caleb Williams struggling to work out the playbook, and so I mean, when you dig down, yeah, Cam Ward's getting some plaudits about how he's playing, but again, we need to kind of pull the reins back a wee bit and just understand this is training camp. But I hear a lot of the guys that have been at training camps for the last 3, 4, 5 years, and they're saying that it does seem different this time. Kyle Pitts looks great, and they feel it's different this time. The intensity is a lot better. It just seems that the fan interaction is fantastic. Again, I can go back where you would look at the hill and you would see literally 10 or 12 people and then a big space, and then 15 or 20 people and then another big space, and you're literally watching the scenes from training camp and the hill is full of people. And to be honest, the 5,000 tickets each day that were given out, I think the Falcons have to rethink this and get more and try and get more, because I think they could probably have filled it with 10,000 fans
easily.
So,
and I mean, as I say, like we went over it when we were doing the special thank yous. I think it was on the last episode, just how much we appreciate the people of Atlanta, because this was a message that you've made since you first came onto the team, was that you felt like there wasn't enough commitment from the fans into what we were doing here. And as I say, I agreed with you. I agreed that there had to be more asses and seats filling that stadium and cheering the boys on to kind of put it all together. So I completely agreed with that. But yeah, and while we're on the subject, sir, sorry, on you go.
Yeah, so effectively, what my issue is, we went from the NFC Championship game against the Packers in the Georgia Dome, and if anybody really wants to see how passionate Falcon fans can be when we're winning, all you need to do is look at that game. That game, that atmosphere was out of this world. The electricity in that crowd could have lit up a country. It was that good. Then we went from that to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and you would look in the stadium, and half the seats, there was nobody sitting in these seats. Now, you then see the attendance for the game, and it's a sellout. Now, I know I hear people talking about PCP, I think it is, and all this kind of thing. I don't know about any of that, and I've no interest in that. I know for a fact that I went to one game. Well, I've been to 2 Atlanta Falcons games, and each game cost me about probably $2,000 to do each of the games. So if people are watching this thinking that I'm preaching without the substance, well, the substance was there. I've put my money where my mouth is. Haven't been to Atlanta yet, but I'll get across. We'll get across. But the one thing that you always see, and you hear a lot of people say, and this is Megan often one, you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, if they were winning, we would support them." But well, support them and they win. The two of them come together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. The team in the city have always been intertwined. You can never really have one succeed without the other. And that's why I keep coming back to the fact that Atlanta's hosting the Olympics. They've got the NHL coming back. You're not just the black mecca, you're fast becoming a sports mecca in the States as well. So I don't think that should be understated in any way, shape or form. And I feel like Atlanta need to capitalise on it as a fan, just as a fan of sport, more generally football, of course.
Yeah, and then when you look at the actual stadium, it's a beautiful stadium. Again, it's got loads of concessions, but again, get your asses on the seats. I'm actually going to go to a printer, and I'm going to print 100 or 1,000 posters with "Get your asses on the seats," and I'll send them across to Atlanta, and everybody can hold them up. Because
do you know what, that's a new hashtag. Des is just basically trademarked it tonight. Hashtag get your arses on the seats. There you go.
I mean, the other thing that upsets me is this is coming for 2 guys that I've said before, if I was able to jump in a car and drive a couple of hours to go and see my love, the Atlanta Falcons, I would do it. The people in Atlanta and the people in the Atlanta metropolitan area, they're lucky enough that they can buy a ticket and go and see this team. So when you do that, show 1,000% support, because what you'll be surprised of is when you actually start cheering these guys on, guess what? They're going to start winning because they'll feel loved. You know what I mean? It's not a coincidence that when you hear some of these players talking about coaches, when they talk about how they believe the coaches are 100% in on them and they've got the coach's confidence. These players play better. And it's all about effectively walking out there and showing these guys how much we love this team. That's all I want, because if I was there, I'd be the guy that would be. I mean, just to give you an idea, I had somebody complain about me when we were at Wembley I think the Wembley game was the Jacksonville Jaguars game. Now, most people who are watching will understand that the Scottish accent is quite harsh. Now, when we actually then raise that voice and actually scream and shout, it comes across as being quite. I'll use one of Jeff Ulbricht's words: quite violent. It's a quite violent accent.
Yeah,
well,
like I've tried to say this to the guys in the Atlanta days. Like, you remember how we were talking about how we loved the culture of Matt Ryan and how he would tell his receivers, "Get fucking set." It's like, you've no heard "get fucking set" until you've heard it for a Scottish quarterback.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to be honest, if things don't go well in a game, you'll be hearing it. That was fucking atrocious. Or I mean, it's as Billy Connolly says, you've never heard the word fuck correctly until you hear it coming out of a Scottish guy who's really, really angry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%. I'm going to address this question in the chat here while we're talking about jerseys, because just a wee laugh for you as well, a wee aside. On the Pirates, the worst receiver at any session in practice, the one with the least amount of catches, would get a jersey. It was basically diarrhea purple with piss gold numbers, and it said "Shite Hands 69." Believe me, I have had that jersey more than once for the week, and it's not one you want in your collection. just gonna throw that out there. But in terms of getting jerseys, I was always a Fanatics guy until I seen the amount of rip-offs that there were. How about you, Des? Have you got any alternatives that you're using for your merch at the moment?
No, I mean, effectively, when you go into, so we've got NFL Europe, we can go into, what you tend to find in Scotland is you'll get these wee pop-up shops that will literally pop up in the middle of a shopping centre, and you're effectively paying like $40 for a cheap part. So effectively, we don't have. I know when I was down south at one of the Atlanta Falcons games, there was a guy who spoke about there was a place in London that everybody all flocked to that sold old jerseys. I never ever got to it, but to be honest, I still think that I mean, again, that was one of my ideas for a business. I was actually going to maybe look at opening up NFL shops in the UK, but it never ever came about. But
I feel like it's something
I
that we
think
definitely, again, like as we say, like with the NFL Europe League, I feel like there's certainly more infrastructure for that now, or even like not even just specialists in the NFL, maybe like an American sports goods store, like where we would cater to the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, and also for the guys that play these minority sports in the countries. So you could also look at stocking your pads, your cleats, your helmets, and things like that. So I mean, yeah, it's a song. I feel like now we would definitely have more solid ground for something like that than we have in the past.
You go into some of this, I mean, like there's a Foot Locker here, or there'll be like some sports shop here that will have a selection of the Lakers, the Patriots, what they consider to be the most well-known sports franchises in America. You'll maybe get Pittsburgh Pirates stuff and Mets,
Yankees,
and some you maybe get some Braves stuff. You know what I mean? But again, it just becomes boring. The fact that you walk down the street, and if you do see an NFL top, it'll be a Green Bay Packers, or it'll be Dallas Cowboys, and all the garbage that's going on there. You know what I mean? So,
Hey Maggie, boss lady in the building. Watch your language, Des.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. For the NFL fan in Europe, there's not many places for us to go and buy gear. And as we've said before, when you then do go to Fanatics, they mock up your Robinson top and put ATL white instead of red.
Oh.
And I'll never forget sharing this on Twitter. And somebody from Atlanta put on a tweet saying, "Send it back." And I was like, "Why?" And he sent back the ATL. I hadn't noticed that. He says the ATL should be red. And I was like, I was just so happy that I got my Robinson jersey. But I would say it was effectively, I think I'd done it about half an hour in the middle of the night, half an hour after Robinson was drafted. And I went on and done the create your own jersey and complained about it. And they said, well, it's a create your own jersey. You made it. And I was like, yeah, I made it. The name and the number. But you obviously then, but they didn't care. They had my money at that point, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's one of those things, like Pam said, it's still a nice jersey and it still has ATL on it. So I guess you represent where you need to represent. But to agree with Ricky as well, like Scots, Floridian.
I'm not even going to.
It's the complete opposite of a Scottish accent. Like you guys have such a smooth accent. Like it's not even quite Louisiana because it's not quite a drawl, but I'll do my best. You want me to say get a fucking set, or do you want me to just do my best interpretation of a Floridian accent? Because either way, it may not work out the way you want it to. You know what I'm saying? Oh dear.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I wouldn't even. In the UK, we've got effectively Hollywood America, Hollywood American, and that's what we hear. So if I heard somebody from Georgia, I would understand that they're from Georgia because I've been around quite a few of the fans and the people on this show and all that kind of stuff. I've been to Georgia. I went to Atlanta a good few years ago. So, but Florida, California, I went to California and I couldn't tell you how that accent sounds, but there's a lot
of West Coast accents. That's a little like Scotland, the West Coast. You drive for 40 minutes, the accent changes. It's kind of crazy, especially out in kind of California, Washington, Oregon area. I've got a mate over in Oregon.
Scotland, every 20 miles, there's a difference in accent. Every 20 miles.
I can believe it. Like
we're a small country, but literally you could drive for 30 minutes and you're talking to people that, what I would say is the way we sound is proper English. People in America and people in Atlanta hopefully can understand what we're saying. But if you brought somebody on from like Fraserburgh and Inverness and Aberdeen, and I mean, we would struggle to understand what they were saying. Never mind the people in Atlanta. So it's quite a strange one, but
the guys would really need to whip out their closed captions for that episode if we got an Aberdonian or something on, or looking south as well. Some of those accents in the north of England, like could you picture when we get on someone from say Newcastle or Blackburn or Manchester, something like that? It's gonna get pretty tricky.
Yeah, Newcastle. Right. Give me 2 wee seconds, mate. I'm just going to switch my plug on because my energy saver's just kicked in. So,
Yep, that's all good. I'll keep the guys ticking over. So, while Des is dealing with that, I'm going to just I didn't realise this at the time when I was doing the birthday episode, but I actually share a birthday with an absolute beastie of boy, as we would say in Scotland. And as I say, I only just realised this. So, the happiest of belated birthdays to Newsflash, Atlanta Falcons centre Ryan Newsel. So many happy returns, my brother, and I hope you absolutely smash it this season.
I'll say the same to him as I says to Drake London when it was his birthday. I wish you nothing more than a Super Bowl ring, and that would be pleasant this year, preferably a Super Bowl ring. This year would be preferable for me. So,
yes, sir. Sounds good. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
But let's get into some
honest,
specifics.
Sorry,
on you go, Des.
But I would say if you were sharing your birthday with anybody, you know what I mean. You and Ryan are about the same size. You know what I mean. I'd love to see you at centre. I think you would. You would bat it right out the park, mate. You'd be fantastic.
I think I would go up, straight up. Gone are the days I was 212, never mind 312. So I think centre's maybe a bit beyond me, but I reckon I could be a decent safety. I still reckon I've got 4.5, 4.6 speed. So yeah, if you want to call up another safety for the ATL, then Coach Eam, you know where to get at me. Maggie, you pass the number on.
Absolutely.
But yeah, as I say, and if you need a tight end, you're just begging to wear that 88. Come on, man. I'll throw them up. You bring them down.
Listen, you can't. Listen. Listen, I'll fight Felipe Franks anytime for the tight end spot. Absolutely. Or as we used to call him, Arthur's son.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
because we could never ever understand why he stayed on the team. So
Felipe Blanks.
I mean, he must be. Yeah, it must be showing something in training because the Panthers obviously played him quite a few games and he's back with the Falcons. So I wouldn't say that coming out of training camp we're hearing much about Felipe Franks, to be honest. So
no,
I think there's a few other names that we're hearing about, you know what I mean? So
yeah, and I mean, let's get into it and let's talk about some of those names because I mean we've got a lot to get through both offensively and defensively. But I mean, one of my big talking points that I wanted to put to you, and I love to hear this, is that the offensive line unit has now got a much better feel after the first week, the first time in kit together for Michael Penix's pocket presence. And I've got a lovely wee visual to go with that. So check out this for an offensive line unit. Those boys are some studs. But yeah, we're hoping that we can get MPJ to do some more of this during the season because he does bring that aura. He's changed the franchise much for the better, but as I say, every quarterback needs protection. But it's good to see the O-line kind of getting in there, getting in about it. So how are you feeling about that, Des?
Yeah, I mean, I've just seen a comment on Felipe, so
I had to. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. If you're hearing this, Felipe, I'm sorry.
Listen, if he blocks to win as the Super Bowl, I kid you not, I'll buy his jersey. I'm fine with that. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoke about Penix for God knows how many shows. I keep on saying that we need to downplay the excitement and the hype that we're seeing, but again, I'll say that 5,000 fans ain't crowding in in 100 degrees weather in Atlanta to watch Felipe Franks or Jesse Bates or any of the other guys that we love. They're there because of the hype and the excitement around Penix. For me, yeah, I think on Thursday, I think he had a tougher day. And Zach Robinson was asked about the misses and the overthrows, and his words were he's not actually missing, he's effectively trying to work out his range kind of thing, which is that's what training's for. That's what training camp's for. Training camp's there to iron out the bugs.
And I think you can almost test a QB's arm the way you would test a kicker's leg. Like, we've tested Lenny from 50, we pull it back a little bit, we test it from 55, then we knock it back to 58, then 60. And I feel like we're kind of doing the same thing for quarterback. It's like, how far out can I be and still put the touch on it and the velocity to get it where it needs to go? And as you say, it's training camp, so this is the time to do it, you know, when it's just against our own side. But at the same time, that culture's changed to where they're going to still be facing reps at a high level. It's not like some of these teams where you see training camps just a bit of a piss about, so to speak. But yeah, I'm so excited with how much fire and how much intensity there is in the team from camp as well. On you go.
As you say, the O-line have only played 3 games with this guy. You know what I mean? They don't know. They can't. They're not thinking like each other just now. They don't understand what he's going to do, whether he's going to run, whether he's going to throw. All that's all going to come. Looking at everything, I don't think it's going to come with pre-season. I don't think we're going to see Penix in pre-season. I don't think we're going to see most of this O-line in pre-season. I'll be surprised if we actually see Kirk Cousins pre-season. Because, again, they're not going to take a chance. They're not going to take a chance with Kirk Cousins getting injured for the season. But the O-line... I mean, you look at Michael Penix has been training with the main ones in the O-line. They've been up against guys like James Pierce, and effectively he's been destroying them. So at that point, Penix is getting less time to actually get it out and obviously deal with the pressure that he's dealing with. And again, I said that in one of the last shows, that the fact that we've now got a good edge rush is effectively better for this offense as well, because they're playing and they're gauging how good they can be against better players now. Michael Penix is getting pressured more, so again he has to get the ball out a wee bit quicker. And as I say, I think he had quite I remember on Thursday, I was actually going to make a joke and say, Michael Penix, you can have a bad day if you want to have a bad day. You know what I mean? And he had like I think it was Friday, he had an okay day. But again, that's what training is about. The O-line will understand. The O-line will understand what Michael Penix is going to do, and Michael Penix will start to understand what the O-line is going to do as well.
And as Dan says as well, like, we do have I don't know about consistently top 5. I'd say on their day they're top 5, but given the fact that you've got essentially a first full season out in Newsel at centre, we've still got a couple of question marks over, you know, whether it's going to be, whether Bergeron's going to step up. I know he's decent, but is he really going to be the guy for 17 games? Possibly up to 20 games, 21 games. So yeah, there's still question marks, but I feel like it's a very solid offensive line, certainly top 10 in the league. And then, as I said, when you're talking about preseason as well, the seconds aren't going to be too bad either. Jack Nelson looks good. Jordan Williams looks good. Kyle Hinton's okay as well. inside. So I feel like offensive line is not somewhere where we need to have too many concerns this season.
I mean, I mean, I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about the centres and everything, and I didn't really get a chance to have a good look at it. And I'll agree with what I heard. That I think we need to look at trying to get maybe a veteran centre in, because I don't think Javon Gwynn has been lighting it up in practice. But again, if the seconds were going against the firsts and they were dealing with Leonard Floyd and James Pearce and maybe Jalen Walker, then obviously they're not going to look great. So, but I think with a few positions, I think after the number one guy, I think there is a few questions. But the one thing I'll say about Terry Fontenot is he's constantly changing this team day in, day out. If there's somebody there that he thinks is going to improve the team, he's going to sign them. So, but I mean, you've got to be excited. We'll go back to your main point. We've got to be excited for what we see from Michael Penix.
100%. Yeah. Hey Leo, thanks for showing love, brother.
Yeah,
it's good to see so many. Sorry, on you go, Des.
He's got that at factor when you're talking about he literally had his first interception after 5 days of camp. Now, when you're hearing from people and reporters at the camp, they're talking about how he's struggling a wee bit with red zone and effectively shorter passes. Now, if I'm looking at that, I'm saying to myself that I would rather have a quarterback who was getting the deep balls perfect and struggling with the shorter passes, because if it's the other way around and we've been there with Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder at some camps, at his main camp was literally he was playing it safe. He would do the small throw to effectively the closest receiver there, and didn't do many downfield balls. Michael Penix is doing the opposite. He's throwing it. He's got a cannon in the arm and he's going for it. And to be able to do that and have an interception in 5 days while doing that is phenomenal. And to be honest, I think that the one interception was actually a short throw. So again, we have to kind of pull the reins back, as I said earlier. He's still developing. He's still learning. I honestly believe a developing Michael Penix is probably going to be better than some of the NFL quarterbacks that are in this league just now. I think in 2 years' time, I think he'll probably be 10 times better than what he is just now as he learns the game.
I'd agree with that. I mean, you see the trajectory of, as I say, the pro-ready quarterback. You see the trajectory when they come out ready to go. Look at Joe Burrow. Although Cincinnati's not quite what you'd call a bastion of glory as an organization, you can tell that Joe Burrow, for instance, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, these kids have come out on a trajectory and they've just continued to ascend. And I feel like Michael Penix is in that same position. I feel like we're going to be talking about this kid like ceiling top 10, floor top 10, ceiling top 5, top 3. This kid could really be something special. But there's a comment here I really like as well, before you get into that, Des. And it's an interesting question too, because this is something that I've not spoken to you about yet, but I would agree with. We talk so much about safety and how much we've changed there, and nickel and dime back. In terms of straight outside cornerback, we're not the deepest. Between Clark Phillips III and Kobe Bryant, I do like Kobe Bryant a little bit more. He's a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, has a little bit more of that dog in him, if you will. That mentality to come down and mix it up in the box. But how would you feel about that when it comes down to Clark Phillips? in his sort of play style versus the mix of size and physicality and length that O'Brien brings. Where do you go with that, Des?
Again, we've discussed this before in other shows, mate. I've already said that I think Clark Phillips is going to struggle to make this 53-man roster. I think we need to understand now that this ain't, and again, I'll talk about D. Alford as well. This Falcons team and the depth now, this is a team where we're not going to have guys that are going to walk in from the Canadian Football League and effectively come into practice and walk into our team. That's going to be, I'm hoping that's a thing of the past. We're at a point where the depth is better and we're looking at people like Kobe Bryant and effectively a guy who should have probably been a top, I would say maybe a third round pick, and he was effectively positioned there with a lot of the drafts. So he was a third round pick, but the Clark Phillips, I'm hearing decent things about D. Alford. Seemingly D. Alford is doing quite a lot of reps with the ones and the twos, but I think when you look at it again, I would like to see. I actually went on and had a look at some of the free agents, and to be honest, there's a few decent players, but I think for centre and for cornerback, I would like to see a few more signings. And again, what I will say is that we've seen it last year as well, and we've seen it for the last few years with Terry Fontenot. The actual team that starts the pre-season, effectively, a lot of them, there's 10, 15, 20 names that are disappearing. I mean, obviously, we're a week and a few hours away from our first pre-season game, and I guarantee you, next Sunday morning, you'll see a whole raft of tweets from Atlanta Falcons talking about how this player's been released, that player's been released, that player's been released, that player's been released. That's what pre-season's all about. But yeah, I would agree. Centre and cornerback, I think, there is some issues there, and I think we do need some strength in the positions. What do you think?
And I'll throw one more into the mix. Do we have a true Mike backer? Because to my knowledge, we have guys that can play inside, outside, but we don't have that true Mike. Because I was, as I say, we'll get into Madden in a little bit, but I was checking some of the Madden rosters. I was thinking that Devine could step up and be that Mike because he's shifty, but he likes to hit. But he's listed it right outside. So again, that would be my question: who's going to be the kind of the true Mike, so to speak? But yeah,
yeah. Again, I mean, you're talking about obviously training camp. You're hearing a lot of good things about obviously Xavier Watts. I think Billy Bowman Jr. as well again, but I think they're pushing him more towards nickel. But again, we don't know what this coaching staff wants to do. Do I believe that Jeff Ulbricht's the kind of coach that if he thinks there's a player that in a different position that his strength, he would rather have him on the park at another position than actually sitting on the bench. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think that's potential. But I mean, as I say, when you talk about the squad, when we're literally ready to go, when we're here one Saturday in 4 weeks or so, and we're about to do the kickoff and the Sunday the next day, this squad's going to be completely different. So to actually talk about who you think is going to be there or going to be there, it's obviously a strange one.
And
What I
shout
would
out
say
to
is
these,
that
while you continue, Des, I'm just going to pull out some of these comments because I've just been informed and I've just checked it on Twitter there as well. So we'll get into that in a minute. So Georgia, Texas boys just saying that he's been here under Ledford at least 2 seasons. So yeah, we've got some established names in there, as you say, Storm Norton, some flexible names that have got that tackle and guard flexibility. And also, RCD, thanks for showing love. We will get into the Darnell Mooney injury in just a second, but Maggie told me to check the chat, and for good reason, because per Will McFadden, the Atlanta Falcons have signed defensive back Grayland Arnold. He last played 8 games for the Houston Texans in 2023. He's also a former Philadelphia Eagle. And in a corresponding move, they have released offensive tackle Killian Zierer. Asking you shall receive, Des. I don't know too much about Grayland Arnold, but we have brought in someone else to kind of compete for a defensive back spot. Is that a name that's familiar to you, bud?
it's not familiar to me either, mate. What I would say is the one thing about me is I'm normally Atlanta Falcons and then the rest. But again, as we said literally about 10 minutes ago, the one thing about Terry Fontenot is he's always refreshing this squad. So you just have to have faith in what Terry's doing. The guy that they've released, what I would say is that, I mean, it's hard enough when we're outside Atlanta and we're outside America getting news about the NFL.
100%.
We're effectively, we're not turning on our TVs and the news, the sports news is talking about NFL. It just doesn't happen here. But I mean that the name that they released, that's a name that's went over my head as well. So
it wasn't released. Killian Zierer, offensive tackle. Again, not a name that had registered to me through camp. So again, it kind of lets me know it wasn't a name to be massively worried about. Because, as I say, some offensive lines of position group we've revisited quite a lot over our episodes so far as well. But let's move on a little bit from the offensive line. So we'll stay on offense for now, but y'all wanted us to touch on the Mooney injury, and that's what we're prepared to do. So, as you know, he was hurt. He came down a little bit sheepishly, but we know Darnell Mooney's capable of some good things. We also, as you know, signed DJ Chark, who had considered retirement but has decided to give it one last hurrah. And you've got to kind of give it to him. So some of the veterans are really kind of buying into this atmosphere as well. But in terms of next man up, I've seen a lot of good things out of Ray McLeod as well. He's making some big plays, some nice catches as well. So what about you, Des? Who would be your next man up if Mooney can't physically perform?
Well, what I would say is that I'll go back to the Drake London interview yesterday, and somebody asked him that since Darnell Mooney's been injured, who stepped up in the wide receiver core, and he said everybody. So for me, the wide receiver part it's not a position that I really am worrying about, because you've got Ray McLeod, who effectively has been taking a lot of the catches off Penix. Again, one reporter said that they're starting to kind of click. You've then got Kadero Hodge again, who's worked with Penix last year. You then jump in. You've got I think Casey Washington Jr. You've got David Sills, who again has been impressing in training camp. And then you're then on Nick Nash. So for me, there's plenty of depth in the wide receiver core. The way I look at it is,
and then as Andy says, Casey Washington in that mix as well. Casey Washington's a name that can't be forgotten. Jamal Agnew as well. We have a lot of depth at receiver. and it's going to be tough to get that down to just sort of from the 9-10 names we've just said down to, well, say 6, 7. It's going to be very, very tricky. But yeah, I'm here for it.
And then you look at, and then you look at. I mean, from my point of view, as I say, I honestly believe that Michael Penix is the kind of quarterback that if you can catch a ball, he's going to find you. You know what I mean? It's effectively comes down to what this offensive scheme wants out of a player. Do they want him to be fast, like effectively Darnell Mooney? Do they want him to like his run routes like Drake London? It really comes down to what one of the players that's the backup that fits in with that scheme. But the one thing I would say is it's the one position, unless Drake went down, touch wood, unless Drake went down, it's not a position that I'm worrying about at all. And as Drake London said, it is next man up. It's effectively Darnell Mooney goes down, Ray McLeod, who's number 3, steps up to number 2. Kadero Hodge steps into number 3. You've got Casey Washington Jr. You've got David Sills. You've got Jamal Agnew. You've got Nick Nash, who effectively was well sought after as an undrafted free agent and effectively should have been drafted at some point in the draft. So the wide, I don't worry about it. I'm assuming you're the same, Will.
Yeah, I think we're pretty stacked. So I think it's very much a case of next man up. And I think it also boils down to, speaking about pass pressers, what Penix Jr. himself said about, who's your favourite target? I don't have one. Whoever can get open and get the ball, I'm going to put the ball in their hands. That's Absolutely. It. So yeah, that's kind of where we take that in terms of that. But while we're speaking about the guys that have got nagging injuries and things like that as well, we'd like to touch on a few of the latest bits that we've been hearing in terms of number 11, Jalen Walker. So got a couple of nice shots here for you just while we start to introduce things. So he's been limited in his reps at practice, although I did see Coach Heem talking about it, and he's going to be ready to go. He's chomping at the bit to get going, which we love to see. He's and what I love is the wording in the vernacular that he used. He said, "We have reached a point where we're having to save these guys from themselves." And I love that. Yeah. Again, it's just this intensity and this will to get in there and fight. And as I say, we'll tie it well, and that's why I used the one with the two first rounders together, because we'll get in to James Pierce Jr. in a little bit more detail as well. But from what I hear, it's a very major hamstring injury that Jalen's suffering with. So he's still doing some light kitted work, but he's not in for 11 on 11. So it makes sense. You don't want to risk putting all that capital, taking him number 15, and then he gets hurt, because that's one thing that we have struggled with in recent seasons, is having these young guys go down and miss essentially a prime year where they could really go on to do some real damage. And that's what we don't want. So yeah, I've got to kind of give it up to Coach Heem for making that decision and kind of forcing these guys, now you need to sit in your ass and take the mental reps, because it was also said in the presser how you can't understate the importance of mental reps. And as I say, that goes into the mix as well. Have you got any more sort of information than that, or are you still kind of working on that too?
Yeah, just with the coach. Again, it was quite strange the way it all went. Was they were talking about how he was out of practice because he was working on his body, and effectively we understand that the coaching staff don't need to declare anything. They don't need to say whether a player's injured or anything like that until we actually get into the main season. But it's a minor hamstring injury. From my point of view, the season isn't won in pre-season. Effectively, I don't think we'll see Jalen Walker in pre-season. I think the staff will have seen as much as they need to in the reps that he's doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're in a position when you're watching James Pearce absolutely destroy everybody that's standing in front of him, you're at a point where you think to yourself, do you know what? I think we'll just hold Jalen back a wee bit. So, and the fact that. And the fact that he's, I mean, literally, Raheem Morris said that effectively he's another Scottish word. He's doing his tits in. he's effectively at him constantly to get back into the practice squad. So so that's a good thing. It's just going to make him hungrier, because when he's not practicing with the main team, in his head, he'll be thinking that there's a chance that he doesn't get as many reps this year. So it'll just make him hungrier. It'll make him harder. It'll make him work better. So as I say, if we were playing him in training and he then gets a bad injury and then it came out that he was playing with a minor injury, then all hell would have broke loose in the media. So
yeah, we know where the media likes to play with that sort of information. But yeah, while we're finishing up on receivers there, Ricky's made a great point as well. In my opinion, Hodge should get more targets than Ray. I think he's the better player overall. And see, to be honest, I made this point in a previous show. I held my hands up and said that fair play to Kadaro Hodge, because your boy slept on a Pro Bowler. We were so deep receiver wise that me and Des were throwing out names and completely forgot to mention him. And he was a Pro Bowl talent.
Yeah, I mentioned Kadaro Hodge. Yeah, I did actually mention him.
I meant in that show. Obviously, we've mentioned them today. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I say, but that's a good way to be into it, is having so much talent that you forget some. It's good problems to have.
Listen, Will, I could go back and look at 2022, 2023, and even last year, and effectively read some names that effectively played a lot of snaps for us. And effectively, I guarantee half of Atlanta probably have never heard of these guys. So the fact that we're missing out a Pro Bowl name, or we're not discussing a Pro Bowler, it's just, I would say it's just the way the world just now for Atlanta Falcons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't remember, as I say. You hear everybody saying, I can't remember being as, and everybody's saying it, I can't remember being as excited for a season as I felt. I mean, I'll say it, and anybody out there that says they were excited for 2016 season is talking nonsense. Nobody seen the 2016 season came. 2017, yeah, I remember being really excited for 2017 after I came out of my depression, watching that game that we do not mention. But going forward, the questions that we've had, a lot of them's been answered in training camp, but we're now at a point where we need these answers, or these questions, to be answered actually on the pitch, on the field.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just getting some more of these great comments. Georgia, Texas boy, I believe Jalen Walker will get some PT this season, but next season when AK isn't re-signed, he'll get even more PT. Yeah, I agree with that. His playing time's only going to go up, especially because, as I say, we need to not be we need to take our hearts out of it, and I know that's hard as Falcons fans. We go in heart first, but there's going to be some hard cuts in the next sort of year and a half. Even cutting down to the 53 is going to be tough, but we're going to lose some important bodies in important places, and it's going to hurt. So be prepared for it, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say to Georgia boy, don't sleep on AK. I mean, coming out of training camp, seemingly he's been on fire as well. You know what I mean? So I don't. I mean, I think when you look at what the depth we've got in the D line, you know what I mean, there's going to be players that are probably going to go next season. Depending, maybe Leonard Floyd might retire, he might stay for another season, but there is a lot of players that effectively we want to be in a position where players that would have been our number one in the last few seasons are either our number two or number three. That's where we want to get to. And I think when you look at some of the players that have been signed in the last few drafts in defense, the one thing I would say is AK ain't one of the ones that I'm worrying about this season. I think if you look at what he'd done the tail end of last season, he was probably one of the main players that was on fire the last couple of games. So if he keeps this going and he fits well into the Jeff Ulbrich scheme, I think AK is going to be a fantastic player this year, and I think the Falcons will be running to his agent to get him signed up next year. Yeah.
I mean, in an ideal world, we're going to come to a point where on 3rd and 8 or more, you're going to have a quad, a four-man core of pass rushers. You're going to have Walker and Pierce, and you're going to have Ebiketie, and you're also going to have Floyd, all rushing the passer. That is a terrifying concept. And as you say, Leo, like 2017, we looked real nice. We had the ability to kind of go there and possibly take the ring, but look at the 2017 roster and look at the roster of this season, and I feel like we're even deeper now, especially when you consider how early we are in terms of competitive football being played. So yeah, I feel like this is something special that the likes of which the league's never seen, not even from the Falcons that went to the Bulls in previous sort of peaks for the team. This is going to be something different, and if we cash in and we can kind of sustain it, because as I say, we want dynasty. We want an Alabama dynasty, but we want it in the pros. And all these guys are the right age to do it, 22, 23, 24, 25. So we're getting hot at the right time. And as I say, like I'm here for it. I really am. But yeah,
I'll go back to a few press conferences and a few things that stood out. A was Arthur Blank saying that he wanted to build a team that will compete year in, year out, and effectively this was a jab, I think, at TD Thomas Dimitrov. When he said we don't just want a team that's going to do well one year, we want a team that's going to compete every year. And then you go to the Kyle Smith presser when he then said, and again, this is all about dedication, he then said that the Atlanta Falcons staff and the scouts all know roughly who's going to be cut from other teams, and they're assessing these players constantly all the time. You know what I mean? And again, that tells me that, as I say, Terry Fontenot, I'll say again, isn't scared to change players if he has to.
No, and that's it. You can't be. It's a business decision. Like, as I said to guys who were in their feelings about Grady Jarrett, it was a business decision. At the end of the day, we gave him the offer, and that was team friendly, and he opted to go to Chicago. So that's that. Like, you can slice that however you will, but that's where I fall on it. As I've said a few times.
And again, shout out to Big Ann.
Braylon
Trice, we haven't even seen him.
Yeah,
you know what
Harrison as well. Like, we have.
Yeah, Zach Harrison. So again, but no, the main one is Braylon Trice. We haven't even seen what he can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And from what limited snaps he's had, there's been some decent news. He's looking strong. He's looking healthy. He's looking explosive, which is a word you love to hear. Get some pop back in there.
gone are the days where I'm listening to podcasts and they're talking about training camp and they're talking about how the edge rush doesn't look too great. I bet there's time they'll work into it. They'll get better. We're now at a point where the coaches are telling players to chill out and relax. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll say to anybody, just look back to the last 5 years. I think we're dead last in sacks. And again, I remember all the hullabaloo last year about how Terry Fontenot drafted players that weren't going to play this year. Well, it didn't really matter last year. But you then look at some of these unknowns, like the Braylon Trice and the Zach Harrisons, who effectively only had minor playing time. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean. There's a lot that that's unknown, but we have to have faith in these coaching staff. And again, I keep on saying, every time I see a defensive line player getting talked about, Nate Ollie is mentioned constantly, energetic. One guy said he thinks he must take 10 coffees a day. Even in the morning, you can hear him screaming and shouting, and you know what I mean. That's the kind of, from my point of view, if you're literally constantly, the best way to look at it is, if you look at any D line, effectively 99% of the time they're failing, because every time they're trying to get to the quarterback, they're constantly failing. What they need that in their head that one of the times they're going to get there. And that, when you've got Nate Ollie screaming, shouting, and the enthusiasm and the energy and all that, that's what you need at the side of a coaching line. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the kind of guy you want, because there's going to be time.
And let's be honest, as you say as well, Des, like, for too long we've been the laughing stock of the league in terms of sacks. Like, last year it was 9. That's not even a sack a game. That's pathetic. And I'm glad to see that, as the guys are saying, the pass rush is going to be there in the top half of the league, because this is a nice transition. I'll pull up a couple of more photos because this is going to where a good point to kind of open up and a nice segue. So I've got a couple of things here. So we've got Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. are those guys, and we'll throw in the other draft picks too. So Will Xavier Watts starts at safety. Will Billy Bowman Jr. start at nickel. So we'll get into a few of those things. I'll drop the photos first, and then we will drop the link because, as I say, Saturday Scrimmage, you know what we do by now. It's a big AFNI tradition and a big Scottish Falcons tradition. But as I say, before we do, got some nice baller photos, JPJ, and then again, shout out to Leonard Floyd, really embracing that leadership role, bringing on the camaraderie, in the trenches, literally swinging hands beside his boys. So I feel like they're quite similar in terms of the how they want the game to lay out in front of them, and I feel like that's gonna make things really exciting, considering that you're learning from an 8 to 10 sack a year guy. And then, as I say, we talk about safety as well. Watts is doing about 68%. I think it said 68.3% with the first, and the rest with the twos. So there's going to be competition, as I say, D. Alford, some of the names in that mix, to Marco Helms as well. And then when you talk about Billy Badass Bowman as well, coming in to kind of compete for that nickel spot again. But when you talk about defensive backs now in the league, it's a strange one for me because there's not as much. A lot like I said about outside linebacker versus defensive end, it's now just edge defender. I feel like the same thing has been very much done between corner, safety, and nickel, into where it's just now defensive back. But in a way, that's good because there's more flexibility. You can try guys in different roles and things like that. But how do you feel in terms of, like, do you feel like Bowman and Watts are A, starting caliber, and B, how do you think they can contribute right off the bat?
Well, I mean, going on what you're hearing from training camp, yeah, absolutely. I think you've got Xavier Watts has now been called the X Factor. So effectively, I mean, this ain't the real world where I get called slim because I'm fat. You know what I mean? When you're on a football field and they're calling you the X Factor, that ain't irony. That's true. So, you hear so many amazing things about Xavier Watts, and you also hear amazing stuff about Billy Bowman Jr. As badass, is that actually the nickname that he's been given?
It's Billy been thrown around.
Bowman, or
yeah. I think from what I hear, people have been throwing it around since his days as a Sooner. So I mean, he came in with that. So I like to hear it, because when your DBs start getting nicknames.
Yeah, so you've got DeMarco Helms, who I found out recently his nickname is Bam Bam.
Yep.
Because he's obviously, because of the way he hits. So I'm what I would say is, I think in 10 years' time we'll talk about this draft class. And effectively, the only name you've not really heard about is Jack Nelson. You're even hearing about, obviously, the undrafted free agents. What I would say is that I'll go back and say what I've said before about Raheem Morris and what he done 2 years ago in LA. He effectively had a defense full of rookies, and I think he got them. I think they were the top. He got them in the top 20. So he's used to playing, and he's had history of playing rookies. So he's not scared to put these guys. I always say, if you're good enough, you're in. That's it. Forget about experience or anything like that. You're in from the start.
Yeah, best guy in the right spot for the right role, as you say. 100% agree with that. But as you see, guys, while we were talking there, I've dropped the ticker. It's coming across the bottom now. So if you see that StreamYard link and you want to come on and join the lads, join the Kilted Revolution, as it were, and talk some birds. As I say, we're going to be talking more about this pass rush, because I want to talk specifically about James Pierce Jr., because that guy is a freak of nature. As we've said, we put up a photo of how tidy that offensive line is looking. That is, as I said, depending on the day, a top 10 to top 5 offensive line unit across the whole league. You've got probably the best pure guard across the league in Chris Lindstrom. You've got a pair of real baller tackles. You've got the most consistent and tenured starter in the league in Jake Matthews. You've got an absolute mauler on the right with Caleb McGarry. And now we've got our centre established. And so this is not an offensive line that you can sleep on. And James Pierce is handling these guys. You've got Jake Matthews, who's 31 and played at, this is year 12 now of him playing at this insanely high level. And he's going, no, this kid's a problem. He gets under your skin and he's going to be a real problem. So surely when tackles of that caliber are talking about how good you are, then you really should be one to watch. And then, as I say, bringing the fists to bear as well. You've got to love that intensity and that fire. I think he's going to be a real issue this year for teams.
Again, and I'll say again, if he's good enough, he's on. We don't want to be one of the teams that effectively hold back a player because you want to ease them in. I said in one of the other shows, if this was a new O-line, we'd be on the show talking about how bad our O-line could possibly be if somebody like James Pearce is effectively, I mean, I've heard the word dominating them. Now, bearing in mind, this is a rookie. This is a guy that's literally just he's 5 days into training camp, and he's dominating. What I would say is, you said top 10, possibly top 5. Yeah, this O-line is top 10, possibly top 5, except when they're up against James Pearce, and they are literally 32nd. Because this guy is dominating. And again, I'll go back to what I said. When Micah Parsons and JJ Watt came into the league, they were never looked on as being rookies, because straight for the first game, straight for practice, they were playing to a level that some of the veterans couldn't deal with. And we're at a point where we're looking at the same from James Pearce. The thing that probably impresses me more about James Pearce is that the narrative that was discussed before he was drafted was the fact that they were talking about they didn't know whether he had a love for the game. And then you see him getting interviewed, and he's got a smile on his face. He says that this intensity comes from how much he loves the game. And we're then looking at this and saying, well, every one of you guys, every one of you other teams that let him drop to number 26 were all wrong. And from what we're looking at and seeing in practice, he is going to be a phenomenon.
I was literally rubbing my hands. Like, all praise to the Jalen Walker pick. Like, I feel like Jalen Walker is going to be an absolute stud, but I feel like James Pearce has an even higher ceiling of potential for being an absolute game wrecker, and that's saying something, because, like, don't mix my words here. Don't take it as anything but what it's meant. I have a lot of love for Jalen Walker. I think the kid is a baller, but I feel like, just in terms of will change the entire way that you shape your offense, I think James Pearce is going to be that guy. So yeah, that's just how I feel.
I mean, you look at some of the comments. So again, I watched his presser when he was getting asked, and it obviously, what I would say is that we need to effectively create statues, because if this is going to be the special year that I hope is going to be, we need to create statues for Leonard Floyd and Jesse Bates III, because I think people forget. I mean, I seen the mic'd up from Jesse Bates, and he was talking to Kobe Bryant, and seemingly with Xavier Watts as well. He's effectively took all of them under his wing, and he's effectively standing, talking to them and explaining and saying, "What? Make sure you read your books. Make sure that like Kobe Bryant, he says, make sure you read your books. They know you're good at football. You need to show them that you understand it all when you're listening to this." And again, what I would say is that I don't think this is by chance that this has happened, because you look back at some of the drafts, and Terry Fontenot always wanted to sign the captains. It always, when he looked at Troy Anderson was one of the captains, and so it's by design. And the fact as well that you talk about James Pearce, and James Pearce gets asked, "Did you think that Atlanta Falcons were going to sign you? We're going to draft you?" And he said, "Well, they were in my home the night before the draft." So effectively, he then says and talks about how all through his college career, he was getting told about he looked similar, and he effectively played like Leonard Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And then Leonard Floyd gets signed. And then James Pearce talked about how during the off-season, Leonard Floyd would contact him and speak to him and talk to him about some of the plays and all that kind of stuff. So what I would say is everything that's happening here is getting done by design, by the coaching staff, by Terry Fontenot, by everybody that's at the back.
Yeah.
We're bringing
I'm just
in
apologising as well. I'm going to flash up some of these comments just while you're talking. There was a few that didn't come up right away, and there has been some great takes. AK's had 5 sacks in the second half of the season since 2022. That's something that he's going to. I feel like he's right on the cusp of being something great. Again, we could say that about a lot of people, but yeah. Just a couple of the comments that I missed, but keep them coming, guys, because as I say, it allows us to run a better show. We love having the comments and being able to kind of let our as I say, we're both kind of avid historians, so we can do that and kind of reminisce, or we can throw names at you, throw stats at you. But yeah, as I say, keep the love and the support coming. I would
say, well, is we don't need phenomenal, and when it comes to the pass rush, all we need is good. We don't need phenomenal. We just need, if we're literally in 20th in sacks, that's a bonus for us. We've literally in the last 5 years we've been either last or second last, and I think the Panthers are around there as well. And we know what kind of record the Panthers have had for the last 5 years. So just with this defense, we just need average. We need average, and to be honest, I don't think James Pearce has shown average.
No,
I don't think any of the defensive draftees this year are showing average.
No, not at all. And I don't even think they're showing above average. They've come in ready to play. And at the numbers that we got, some of these guys like Xavier Watts, 96. What was Billy Bowman again? I think he was 124, 128. No, 118. 118 it was. So just insane value for players that are going to come in and essentially compete for a starting spot right off the bat as a 4th round pick, which doesn't happen all the time, as you know. But yeah, as I say, we've got a lot of stuff still to go on with, so we'll keep flying through. But as I say, if you do want to join, feel free to jump in. The link's there. We've dropped it down. So let's open things up a little bit. But before we do, to get into around the NFL section, one more thing that I want to talk about, and it's another new signing, is in terms of continuing competition for the defensive backs. Speaking about the corner we picked up tonight as well. So is this guy that I will just flash up a photo of now. So Henry Black. He, after my research, he most recently played for the San Antonio Brahmas in the UFL. Funnily enough, though, he also did spend some time in Atlanta through 2022. So he will have at least a rudimentary understanding of the defensive identity that we're trying to kind of build here. He's been part of that kind of mix before, and he's just kind of coming back into the building. So have you read anything, or have you seen any kind of stats, anything that we should be aware of?
No, I know we mentioned it in the last show, but this is one that's went right over my head. I can't even remember them being at Atlanta Falcons in 2022. So
I think it was mainly practice squad work. But yeah, as I say, he's not a name that's familiar, but at the same time, I'm for it because I promote a healthy competition, especially if he's calling off flexibility, because as I say, we're kind of riding that margin where we kind of need guys to step up and establish themselves for certain roles, as we've said. But yeah,
I mean, what I would say is if he was only on the practice squad in 2022, then he would need. I mean, obviously, you don't know. He's obviously went to the UFL and he's probably had a lot of games in the UFL. So there's always going to be improvement from that. But if he was in a position where in 2022 he didn't go on this team, then he's certainly not going to go on this team now.
No.
But again, we leave that to, we leave that to the coaching staff. You know what I mean?
And I mean, and anything can happen because for all we know, he's a different player now than he was in 22. I don't know enough about him to say one way or the other. So if he comes out in balls, then fair play to him. I'd love to see it. As I say, the minute somebody puts pen to paper on the red and black, I want to see them do the best they can. And as I say, that's it. But here's a little bit of fun that we're going to get into. Madden 26 for all you gamers. So I've got another wee collection of photos here that I've compiled through the wonders of Twitter and Instagram. The rankings here have the Atlanta Falcons at an 82 overall. Now, this is a slightly older one. This is the beta that has us at 83. But there's since been a change that has us at 82 and Tampa Bay at 86 overall. So I feel like that's a little bit insulting. And we'll get into some of the other insults soon. But first off, we're going to do the positives. And I'll throw this up right here. So there you are. 4 Falcons in over 90 overall in terms of their ratings. And it's exactly the 4 guys that you would probably expect. So I will do it there in ascending order. So with a 91 overall, wide receiver 1, Mr. Drake London. Then with a 92 overall, Bijan Robinson. A 94 overall. And I would suspect that's enough for best guard in the league for Chris Lindstrom. And then closing it out, you have JB3, 95 overall, and the best safety in this year's Madden. So yeah, I'm going to throw a round of applause because all of those guys deserve it. In my opinion, they should all be 99s, but yeah. We know from history, from playing the games over the years, that whoever makes the ratings in Madden needs to have a sit down with your boys, and we should teach them how to do this properly. But yeah, as I say, when you talk about some of the mistakes they made, I'll let you talk about this one. What was Kyle Pitts rated again? Because this is atrocious. 78, 79, something like that.
So let me just find Kyle Pitts just now. So Kyle Pitts is 78. Which,
there you go.
Again, I keep on saying he's got this number 4 literally pulling him down. I mean, he's not a 78. I mean, if you want to get into some of the jokes, so Kyle Pitts has got the same rating as Youngway Koo. Jalen Walker is actually above Kyle Pitts in 79. Now, when you're considering, again, listen, so again, you need to understand, these guys are rookies. They've never played a snap on an NFL field, and we're putting them above. It's the same when you see all the coaching things, when you see the ratings for coaches, and they'll have some coaches who have actually been in the NFL for 2 or 3 seasons, and then they'll put Ben Johnson as a head coach before them. It's ridiculous. I think,
and I agree with RCD there as well. He's saying that Ellis should be in the 90s. I don't know about the 90s, but he should be about an 87, 88. And I think you've got the roster there. Is he not an 84 or something?
Yeah, no, he's 82. Caden Ellis is 82.
That's insulting. Come on.
That is a book to the. I mean, that's garbage. Absolute garbage.
Wow.
So you've got Jake. I mean, even Jake Matthews 86 is ridiculous.
Nah,
so
there should
just
be a lot
to give you an idea.
Jake
right.
Matthews is an
Normally your
86.
punters, yeah. Not normally your punters and your long snappers are at the bottom because they're punters and long snappers, right?
Yep.
So Bradley Pinion is number 8 in our team. Number 8 at 81. He's number 8. What is?
I don't understand it.
It's
I really don't.
what I would say is, if you look at it as well, it's a boot to the balls for Carolina Panthers as well, because the team rating, they've got the Aints at 79 and the Panthers are 78. So Madden is saying that the Aints are better overall than the Panthers. So
I don't know about all that.
Yeah.
Nah. Especially not with that new kid under centre. I think that's gonna go off a cliff pretty soon. But yeah, the biggest one that sticks out to me is Kyle Pitts, because I mean, if you want to drag him down purely based on the fact that he was a 4th overall pick, then Trevor Lawrence should be a 66 overall, because he was the number 1 pick, and what has he done really?
Yeah.
So I mean, as I say, it's a popularity contest. I guess that's why they give us the ratings shifters, so that we can go in and edit it ourselves, because no one's going to be happy, and especially not this year, because 78 is some nasty. Sorry, 76 you said, or 78 was some nasty work. It's just like, come on, guys.
Yeah. I mean, Kadero Hodge, I mean, they've got him wide receiver 71. Zach Harrison 70, and then you get down to like Nick Nash. Now Nick Nash is an undrafted free agent, and they've got him 67. Now he's above Charlie Warner.
Wow.
And Ryan Nuzzel. You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, it's so Nick Nash, an undrafted free agent, is above effectively veteran NFL players.
Oh dear.
It's
I don't know where they get off in this, right? I don't. It's just like they must have some AI
honestly
to it coming up with these ratings, because like or by all means, if you hear this podcast and you work for EA doing the ratings for Madden, come on and try and justify the logic for some of these ratings, please. We're asking you to. We will give you the platform to do so, to defend some of these choices, because some of them need to be fucking defended.
I mean, just see the longer you look at it, the longer it just looks. I mean, Storm Norton, who I think is a quality right tackle, he's below Javon Gwynn, who, as far as I know, I mean, Storm Norton has played a lot of snaps for us, and he's below Javon Gwynn. I mean, it's crazy.
It's pretty ludicrous.
Probably the only one I would say. What I would say is the one that I do agree on is, out of the 74 that are rated, Felipe Franks is 73. So I think I probably agree on that. But I mean,
it's good to see him get over 70 again, though, because I mean, in Madden's past, he's been as low as like 63, 65. So I mean, it's great to see him get a wee boost, but again, not over Nuzzel and
so 73 was his position. He's actually 54 overall.
Oh, right, okay. Franks. Right, I see. Right. I thought you said he was 73 overall. What?
No, in his position, so he's 73rd out of 74. So, again, it just seems to. I mean, Kyle Hinton again, right guard, 60. He's 69th. But when you look at Storm Norton at 65, and he's a decent backup. You know what I mean?
He certainly is, which means I don't really hold out much hope for Jack Nelson. I'm guessing he's probably going to get a 67, 68 tops.
Jack Nelson's above him, actually. Jack Nelson's 63.
63.
So work that one out. So overall, he's 63. The actual long snapper is 64. So again, it tends to be that Liam McCulloch. I remember I watched a video last year, and they asked him where he would be, and he said he would be dead last, and he was. He's actually 57th position wise. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
No. It really
and then when you look at some of the teams, some of the team ratings as well, you've got the Arizona Cardinals are sitting at 79, so they're below the Falcons. The Baltimore Ravens are 93. Yeah, you can't argue with that. Buffalo Bills is 88. Yeah, Buffalo Bills 88. Carolina Panthers are 78. The Chicago Bears are sitting at 80. Yeah, so the Bengals are 82. So the Bengals are rated the same as the Falcons. So when you look at that, I'm just going to check one more. I want to see where the Cowboys are. 81. So the Cowboys are 81 rating. And that's not
at least they will be for the next 6 weeks until somebody picks Micah up. Then they might drop 1 or 2 points.
Yeah,
but we'll get into that.
Somebody needs to come out and say how they work out these ratings, because effectively some main guys who have played a lot of games in the NFL, been below rookies, and guys who are effectively the backups of the backups. It's just ridiculous. You know what I mean?
I get you. It makes no sense at all whatsoever. And as I say, shout out to the NFL guys that make these games. If you want to come on and try and defend these, please do. We encourage you to, because we're not the only podcast. You'll hear it a lot, but as I say, I will make as I say, AFN should get together and make a real ratings of what we think these guys are actually rated, and then submit it to the guys that make Madden and go, nah, here's how it really goes. And I feel like every team should do that. Like, I feel like the fan bases could rate them better than the guys who are meant to be these so-called experts.
I mean, to be honest, if you were actually asking us, so when you look at the actual Madden top 100, you've got Jesse Bates at 27 overall. You've got Chris Lindstrom at 33. Bijan is 53rd. Drake's 66, and AJ Terrell is 92nd. So again, if you were asking a normal Atlanta Falcons fan, what are the 5 players that should be in the Madden top 100? That's probably the names that they would mention. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't. I mean, we're watching the team day in and day out, and constantly watching it, and watching press conferences, and watching training camps. At some point, Madden need to come out and say who came up with the ratings for the Atlanta Falcons, because they're all over the place. You know what I mean?
100%.
But at least they're giving us a wee bit. At least they're giving us a wee bit of love with some of the main players and putting them in the top 100.
Yeah, I mean, when you really look at it and slice it down, the guys that are getting over 90 ratings again are the guys that you would mostly expect to get over 90 ratings. Probably the captains of your respective offensive and defensive units, at least until Penix emerges at the start of this season. But yeah, as I say, it's the kind of players that you'd expect. But I'm glad to see the Falcons getting at least some love, because you know how we're treated in the media, generally speaking. So to have at least some respect and some rub, so to speak, is nice. Maybe the rest of the league's finally getting it too, that we're coming.
Yeah, I mean, even that Tyler Algier, 81 overall rating.
Nah, come on.
The
He's got to be
longer you look
85,
at it, the more it.
85, 86 at
I
least.
mean, the guy.
Come on.
I can name 20 NFL teams who would have him as RB1. You know what I mean? Just because, and again, this is it. Just because he's not getting as many snaps because we've got Bijan doesn't mean that he's not good at what he does.
Yeah. 100%. And that's the thing. It's like thunder and lightning. Like, I feel like you really do need two good running backs, because you can't, like, in this league, if you run one, he's gonna get hurt eventually. There is a limit to how much you can do that. So, and again, situationally, versatility wise, it just feels like having a 1-2 punch seems to be the best way to build a Super Bowl team. So yeah, I feel like
I keep on saying that Tyler Algier, that this Thunder and Lightning he's a sledgehammer. I call him a sledgehammer. He literally just, so statistically, I think 4.5 on average last year, 4.5 yards per carry. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And most of them were through men. Most of that was literally effectively gets 1 yard, gets tackled, and then he takes it another 3.5 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's built like similarly to Michael Turner in a lot of ways. What I would refer to as a bowling ball on legs. He's gonna hit you hard, and he's gonna keep churning those wheels. And I feel like it's really that style of running is something that we need to complement the more slick and cut based style of running that Bijan presents as well. But yeah, RCD's agreeing with me, and yeah, you need a 1-2 punch at running back to stay healthy, especially when essentially, as you say, we have a week 5 bye, so we've got to run the gauntlet 13 games, so we're going to have to mix it up and things like that. So yeah. But as I say,
and
again, sorry, just to give you one more thing, but it's on a little bit of a negative note, is again to go back to the fact that I'll be very surprised. Pleasantly, yeah, but I think we're going to be priced out of the market for Tyler. So yeah, it's going to be sad to see him go. It definitely will be.
It's not going to be that we're not giving them enough money. It's just that there's going to be another NFL team that's just going to throw money at him. I think he's going to have as good a season. In this, bearing in mind, this is only the second year of this offense, so there's still a lot of improvement to go. But yeah. I mean, for a 5th round pick, he's been phenomenal. I mean, he really has. Absolutely fantastic. The stats, everything about him. Last time, I think we had probably, as you say, a 1-2 punch was, I remember Devonta Freeman and Taylor Gabriel. Remember them from 2016. So that's how I'm getting excited for this year, because everything is just in place for this offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
we are going to.
Tyler,
and this is the thing, like the way as dynamic as Michael Penix Jr. has been, we are still labeling ourselves, and even Michael Penix has said it, we're a run-first offense. Even he knows it, but he's still willing to embrace that culture. And I love it. Like, get behind your guys. And Bijan would tell you too, he couldn't do what he does to the ability and the level that he does it without having Tyler at his back, ready to take some of those carries. I can guarantee you that he would tell you that. So yeah, just as I say, it goes back down to just building that camaraderie, next man up. But as I say, knowing your position group and having some love there for your boys, as well.
But again, how do you help a rookie quarterback? Because effectively, until he plays 17 games, he's a rookie quarterback. How do you help a rookie quarterback? By having a great O-line that's going to protect him, and you have a great running game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which means that all the pressure isn't on him. You can literally Yeah,
And again, have your receivers running some of your intermediate routes, your crossers, your comebacks, things like that, where you're not having to force him to kind of dump it straight off, sort of 40 yards downfield. Having that kind of those bodies where we can mix and match, where we'll have some bodies going deep, but just dump off options and things like that, because the deep route's not always going to be open. And as you say, especially playing against guys like JPJ at training camp and Jalen Walker at training camp, he knows how fast that window closes as well. But yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's going to just be, as you say, sorry, I think it's going to just be staying in and keeping fighting. The more reps he gets at game speed, the more it's going to become second nature to him. Sorry to interject. On you go, mate.
No. And again, if he's having issues with short game, then, I mean, effectively, what's the best way is to help a quarterback that's struggling at short game? Hand it off to the running backs, you know what I mean? So effectively, go for that. What I would say while we're on this, again, coming out of training camp, is that Bijan Robinson is taking a lot of catches. So again, I've said it before in another show. I think the offense that we see this year is going to be completely different to the offense we've seen last year.
And I think and again, we can mix in. That's with guys like Bijan, we can do plays like if I was to call I talk about a jet touch pass, would you know kind of what I meant is?
No.
So a jet touch pass is a straight it can be pistol, snap from the center, QB takes it, running back comes between, essentially an end around, but not behind the QB. He comes between the QB and the offensive line, and it's a short dump. So it counts as passing yards, but it's essentially an end around.
Okay.
So I feel like we can get a lot of sort of a hybrid yards, so to speak, from our running backs as well. Obviously, Bijan's good at catching the ball, and I feel like if Tyler can improve, I feel like he has caught some balls, but I feel like if he can continue to improve in his catching ability as well, that's only going to just continue to kind of expedite the amount of different options that we've got offensively as well. But yeah. But now that we've spoke about Madden, let's kind of get into some of these things from around the league. But first off, we want to talk some contracts and a little bit of drama for you all. All coming out of the NFC East. So first off, we have wide receiver Scary Terry McLaurin from the Washington Commanders. He has now requested a trade based on the fact that he has not had the talks have not been going the way that he wanted them to go. A standout wide receiver as well, so he's going to be a commodity for someone who's going to trade in for him. And also probably the biggest news around the league at the moment is that Micah Parsons, dynamic young edge rusher from the Dallas Cowboys, we know that there's been contract talks, not a breakdown, but just as I say, Jerry's going to be Jerry, so he's sitting like this when he really should be, a little bit more like this or like this right now, given the fact that now you've got a $40 million a year defensive end, pass rusher, whatever you want to say, and you're not prepared to pay the man. How would you feel? I mean, as I say, make it make sense. Make it make sense, Des.
Yeah, I mean, so you said contract discussions with Micah Parsons.
Or lack thereof, I should say.
So, I mean, the strangest part of the story, and again, Jerry Jones has historically tried to do this. The strangest part is that Micah Parsons goes in to a meeting all about leadership, and he's talking to Jerry Jones, and at that point it then starts getting into contract discussions. Micah Parsons then effectively says to Jerry Jones what he's possibly looking for, which is, I mean, that's just a chat, it's not discussions. He then comes out the meeting, speaks to his agent about it, and his agent then gets in contact with the Cowboys, and it's effectively, here's nothing. Micah Parsons, as Micah Parsons says, he was prepared to take. His agent said to him that the longer you leave it, the more you're going to get. And Micah Parsons said, "I really don't care. I want to stay here. I love the city. I just want the contract agreed and the contract signed."
Yeah.
So when you're at that point, when you've got a player saying, just give me a contract that I'm in the top 3 or the top 5, and I'll go with it. And then effectively Jerry Jones, as he does, just messes it all up.
Yeah, because I mean, as I said to you before, like, look at the money that these guys are getting, your highest paid edge rushers. As I say, TJ Watt's just signed 41 mil a year. I'm not expecting that Micah come in and went, I'm expecting 42, 43. Given that he was quite a club-friendly player, and I mean, Cam in the chat, shout out Cam. He's got some family, so he's not going to be on tonight, but we'll always show some love for the brother. He shared the actual statements from Micah himself, and he did say, "No, I wanted to play my entire career with a blue star on my silver helmet." I kind of feel sad for him that this is the way that it's went for him, because as I say, a player with that level of talent, where there's very few, even in today's league, there's very few players where we can say they are a game wrecker at the edge position. As I say, there's probably 5 guys outside of Micah. It's probably Max Crosby, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, and then you're starting to think. But yeah, I don't understand why a deal could not be reached, even for maybe, I don't know, 36 million, 38 million a season. He deserves to be paid.
A deal can't be reached because Dallas Cowboys don't want to negotiate with an agent. That's what it looks like to me. Effectively, the Dallas Cowboys want to talk to the player and get agreements from the player. I mean, what I would say is, even talk about Dak Prescott. I mean, last year when he signed his contract, and there was the whole hullabaloo where he was talking about how nobody had spoke to him about the contract and all this kind of thing. And then obviously all of a sudden you've got this big contract, which I thought was probably too high a contract for Dak Prescott.
I would agree.
And I know, sorry, mate.
No, I'm just saying I would agree with you there. I feel like Dak was vastly overpaid for someone who's still unproven and when the lights shine brightest. Shout out to the aircraft carrier. It's good to see you back on the chat. He's saying that he feels that Jerry will eventually pay Micah. I feel like he's got to. But as I say, you know, we've said that about some of the great players that Jerry's had in the past. You know, Cowboy's going to Cowboy. We like to kid on that the Falcons are going to Falcon, but make no mistake, Dallas is worse that way than we are. As Georgia Texas boy says as well, we are looking at scrapping the team essentially. I will throw one little thing into the mix because we'll get in and we'll play a little bit of the trade game for both guys later on. I mean, not so much Terry, because I feel like we've talked ad nauseum about how deep we are at receiver, but more so for the Micah Parsons situation, because as you say, there's guys like Pitts, Algier, Ray McLeod that are going to be gone. But I feel like when you're talking about a game-changing defender, you may need to move on from a game-changing defender. I read on Mad Mike's Twitter that he mentioned we may well need to consider, if we want to get Micah Parsons out of Dallas and into Atlanta, giving them Jesse Bates in return. And if not Jesse Bates, then you're talking about maybe Tyler Algier, Arnold Ebiketie, and some picks. So it's how much do we give up versus how much do we get back. Then even when we do get him back, we won't have Kirk money next year, but how do we pay him? So, but yeah, let's play the trade game. I mean, if that was put on the table to you, you give up Ebiketie, you give up Algier, you give us a second this coming year and a first the year after. You can have Micah. What are you doing with that, Des?
See if this all happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
I would literally be saying, no matter what, get this man. But when you're looking at what we've drafted, what I would say is if you're Terry Fontenot, you're not doing your job. If at least you're picking up the phone and speaking to his agent just to see what's happening.
And it's an agent you know as well to throw that in the mix. Just to throw that in the mix, sorry, Des, before you continue. It's the same agent that services Kyle and Bijan, so he knows the guy well.
And Jesse Bates as well, yeah. So
and Jesse Bates, yeah.
Yeah, he's not doing his job if he's not making a phone call just to find out. But you're talking. I mean, I've seen the comment about they're eventually going to pay Micah. But if you're Micah Parsons and you've literally come out and said that you want out of Dallas, then for you to turn and change that, you're going to want a number one contract. You're going to want a contract that effectively the fans will look at it and say, yeah, I know that you wanted out of Dallas, but I've now seen the numbers and I completely understand why you've changed your mind. That's the biggest problem around this. The fact that Jerry Jones could have got him for maybe, say, 35, 36, 38 million. Now he's going to have to probably pay that 43, 44 million and effectively give him a contract that makes him the number one because he has to save face if he then backs down on this. It was just,
I agree.
It was the same a couple of years ago with Myles Garrett. When Myles Garrett came out and said that he wanted out of Cleveland.
Yes,
and then for them to change it, they had to effectively throw the bag at him. But what I would say is that, again, go back to the question. If this is last year, I'm saying no matter what, get this guy. But when you effectively draft two, well, Jalen Walker's a linebacker, but he's going to play edge. When you draft that and then you see what you've seen from James Pierce and training camp, you are not effectively ripping all that up to sign Micah Parsons. It would be ridiculous. It really would.
Yeah, and as you say, talking about giving up another third round pick, we essentially just did that to get JPJ in. So what we've essentially done is essentially get two players to fit the Micah Parsons mold. I mean, I've even seen the press conference, the post-show press conference today. Someone described Jalen Walker as an undersized, a mini Micah Parsons. Now, I don't think that's quite true. I think there's maybe a little bit of bells and whistles, a few caveats that I would throw in there. I feel like he's got a similar style of, high motor passer pursuit, but I feel like there's fundamental differences in the way that they play. But at the same time, I don't want to give up another first round pick, potentially more, plus players who have already bought in, who are now the guys who are bringing these guys up. These are the mentors that we're talking about trading now. When you're talking about giving out guys like Ebiketie and Bates and things like that, you're talking about giving up captains and people who are essentially key ingredients in building the team that we're going to be this season. As much as I respect how fantastic of an athlete and how fantastic of an edge defender Micah is, again, this, if you'd have came to me last year and said this, my answer might be different. But I don't think that we can justify taking trimming more fat from our own, Yeah,
I'm telling you now that if Dallas Cowboys do trade him, then Jerry Jones is going to he's going to want a minimum at least two first round picks for Micah Parsons. Now we've gave away our first round pick for next year. So what are we effectively doing? Are we going to give away 27 and 28 first round picks? I mean that would be ridiculous. You know, I mean, the fact that you've then got James Pearce and you put so much of the last year's draft picks into your edge and your defensive line, you're then going to throw all that away just for Micah Parsons.
And I agree. We aircraft carrier there as well. He's saying that Micah's already undersized to begin with. He's a little squat. He's 6'3", 245, but 250. He's not huge either.
But that's why he dropped. That's why he dropped in the draft, because everybody thought he was undersized. You know what I mean? So effectively, I mean, he's one of the best. But what Dallas is going to have to do is they're going to have to show the money at him. They're going to have to give him like a Dak Prescott. They're going to have to give him a positional change in contract, which will then literally just drive everything else up and drive everything else up. And the merry wheel goes on where you're next for the contract, you'll be the top. You're next for the contract, you'll be the top. But for us to effectively throw out everything that we've done for the last couple of seasons, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
I agree. And again, I'll say before you've just effectively gave away your. I wouldn't say give away next year's first round pitch. You effectively swapped next year's to this year for James Pearce, and effectively, if you look at some of the best teams always build their team. They don't effectively change a team in free agency. You know what I mean? So you build your team through the draft, and we've done that with Jalen Walker and James Pearce Jr.
And we're proved that we're a team that's not afraid to double dip, because I mean, going back fairly recently, I mean, we double dipped for Lindstrom and McGarry. We're a team that's not afraid to get back into the first round if we have to, and to get that guy, you know. So, and I'm glad to see that that's continuing. But yeah,
as I say, if James Pearce wasn't dominating, and then you get people like Dorless and Trice that effectively we've hardly seen. Zach Harrison, we've hardly seen a lot of him. We've brought in Leonard Floyd, who effectively in the last 5 seasons has had 48 sacks. You know what I mean? Effectively, they're building camaraderie, they're training together, and then all of a sudden you throw in Micah Parsons. You're going to have to give him a 4-year contract, minimum 40, 42, 43 million. Whereas you can then effectively go with James Pearce and Jalen Walker and a lot of the other draft picks that we picked last year. And effectively, I'm sure there's been messages at some point if Kyle Pitts balls out this season, we're going to have to pay him. We're going to have to pay Drake London. We're going to have to pay Bijan. You know what I mean? So effectively, at some point, the bill's going to come due on these players that we've already got.
Yeah, and a point there from Kathy, aka my mum, down in the chat. So a loyal cowboy there. The difference is that Dak is like glass, easily broken, so therefore not worth the money. But Micah is. I'd agree. I don't think Dak was worth anywhere near what you paid him, Mum. But I think even at 42 mil a year, I think you need to basically sign this kid in pronto. But as I say, it's driving the money up now that Jerry Jones is kind of going to have to save face. So we're going to have another Myles Garrett situation. It's going to break the league again, and all the contracts are going to get out of control for the next couple of years. So be aware of that, because we've got some guys that we need to pay in the next year or two as well. So we'll see. It's going to be fun. But yeah, but as I say,
as After Blank says, we need to be building teams, not effectively You tell me. I mean, what I would say is, if you look at, obviously, we got Jesse Bates, free agent, phenomenal, fantastic. You know what I mean? We get Caden Ellis, free agent, fantastic. Historically, most free agents, that you're able to get them because the other teams didn't want them. So with Caden Ellis, I would say, we got him because effectively he was underused by the Aints. And with Jesse Bates, we got him because at that point when we signed him, the safety market, nobody was interested in the safety market, and it was undervalued at that point. And I would ask anybody to look at the Jesse Bates contract that we signed and not say it's probably the best, the most undervalued contract that we've signed in a long time. But
100%.
Caden Ellis and Jesse Bates are few and far between. You know what I mean? We need to if we want constant success, we need to build that by draftees and bringing in our own players.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just as I say, drafting and building through the draft the way it's supposed to be done. Like, it's very rare that a free agent comes in and hits. I'm not saying that a player of Parsons' ability wouldn't be able to come in and hit. I'm pretty sure he would. But the risk versus reward says that. What if you did give up all that? If we did give up, say, Abiketi, another first, and X and Y, and so on and so forth, and he comes in and for some reason he gets hurt, or he's not the player he was in Dallas's scheme, then you have a real problem. And it's not one that I'm personally prepared to face, because I feel like we're already, even without Micah, right on the cusp of a deep postseason run, and maybe even a Lombardi this year. Like, as I say, the amount of youth has got me saying maybe not this season. Maybe we get to the playoffs, we run the South, we do all those good things. Maybe it's not the Super Bowl year, but I will take I'll take 12-5, because it will show where we're going. And that's what I'm saying is
I'll take a play. I mean, I'll take the playoffs. I mean, that's all I want. As I say, we need to understand as well. Zach Robinson had a great season last year as a first year offensive coordinator. Now, Jeff Ulbrich obviously was an interim head coach. So, but again, effectively, we need to understand that he's bringing a new defensive scheme around these players. So even players like Jesse Bates and Caden Ellis and all that, all they players, they're going to have to get used to playing this scheme. So, but all I can say, well, and I'm pretty sure you agree, this year can't be any worse than last year. Last year was it was garbage.
Yeah, like the stark difference between the first 9 weeks and the last 8. It was two different teams, and I can't begin to I don't have to explain it to you guys because you all went through it with me. But yeah, last season was not a good look at all. Going from 6-3 to completely shitting the bed, nah, that's not something that can happen again. It can, and losing these games to don't even get me started on the Carolina game. And no, we won't go there again, because you'll end up triggering me, and that's not why I came here to do it. Saturday night is meant to be fun, so we won't mention the Carolina game from last year.
Yeah. Bend, don't break. Yeah, I'll bend and break. I'll break your fucking neck if you don't sort out this defense. That's what I'm not going to bend. I'm going to break it. So, I mean,
100%.
But again, what I would say is that from the bye, for the last 8 games, the defense, you could see an improvement. I mean, it couldn't have been. I mean, and mean, an improvement, but I mean, it was so bad that anything would have been an improvement. Then Raheem Morris comes out and said at the end of the season that after the bye, he took on some of the coordination of the defense and everything. And then you kind of think to yourself, well, that's that. If you're looking at it from a opportunistic point of view, then when effectively Raheem took over, like AK had, I think he had like 5 or 6 sacks, and over the last 5 or 6 games. So there was a bit of improvement, and that Jeff Ulbrich and Raheem Morris know each other. So Raheem Morris knows what Jeff Ulbrich's going to bring in.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, what I would say is,
just to jump in there, because I see this comment from Aircraft Carrier. I'm going to play a little bit of defense on this one. I see your point completely there, bro. Talking about how a deep postseason run, the NFC South's always been a gauntlet. Yes, it has, but it's not the NFC North. It's not the AFC North. It's not a division where every team's a powerhouse and it's going to be a dogfight. And I feel like we have. It was close. It has been close for the last few years, but we've not been in contention, and now I feel like we're pulling away for the rest of the division. Whereas it's going to come a point where hopefully we run that division, and then we don't have a situation unlike the AFC North where you've got Baltimore winning out every year, but it's still a fight. Like I can see us building a plateau between us and the rest of the division where it's going to be very, very hard for them to catch up with us. And as I say, it plays into the youth of the guys we've got as well, so we can do this for hopefully the next 5, 6, 7 years with any luck.
Well, what I would say to the Aircraft Carrier is it's not been a gauntlet for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know what I mean? They've won it the last 4 years. So effectively, at some point, somebody has to challenge them. Now, we effectively beat them in the 2 games that we played them last year, but as Will says, we effectively shit the bed at the second half of the season. So,
we've got a few presents for Bryce next year. we won't forget that game. Not likely. And I hope it's not one we're still talking about in 9 years, because like the last one, but nah. We'll get that redressed pretty quickly. We see Carolina pretty early, and and that kid's getting smacked in the mouth. So that's how we'll deal with that one.
And again, another one as well is I'm trying to remember the player, the Bucks O-line player that's been injured, and he's not going to play the first game.
Tristan Wirfs, the right tackle. Yeah.
And then you look at James Pearce, what James Pearce has been doing in training camp, and you think to yourself, I mean, what I would say is that effectively the Tampa Bay Bucks game, I think, is going to be phenomenal when it comes to the pass rush. I think I'm trying to remember their quarterback again. His name's when
Mayfield, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Mayfield doesn't tend to be the quickest QB in the world to get the ball out his hands. So effectively, with that and with one of the main O-line guy being injured, I mean this first game could be phenomenal for the pass rush. So and
shout out again here because speaking of excitement, I mean I've been telling anybody that's anybody and anybody with ears to hear that the Falcons are going to be something this year, and I can always appreciate unbiased fans who love their team but will be able to give another one kudos. So shout out to my mum again. I think you guys have the best chance I've seen from you of going all the way, and I would agree. As I say, it's maybe not a Super Bowl year, but I've been saying since episode 1 that we've never been this stacked this early. And as I say, the more the team comes together, the more dangerous we're going to be. So yeah, as I say, I know pre-season's not important, but we've got some special things coming to Arlington week 3 of pre-season. So don't you boys worry about that.
Yeah, listen, I'll leave the infighting between you and your family. I'll leave that. I'm not getting involved in that.
Not
But
why
yeah,
then in
as you
that case,
say,
mate, why did you join the AFN? Because this family's just full of infighting. So you think you dodged a
I know.
bullet, but you caught the buckshot there, bro.
All that comes out of my body is passion, and effectively, I'm the same as Drake London. I bleed the Falcons. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, me
So
too.
that's all I'm interested in. You know, I mean, I'm here
Yeah,
talking about the Falcons, and obviously we have to talk about other teams because obviously there's a lot happening in the league. But again, we'll say it again. Like if you go back and look at the 2016 team and then compare it against this team and what we believe is going to be the 53 roster. I'm telling you now, your brain is telling you that this could be the year. Your heart's screaming that this is going to
yeah,
be the year. But what I would say is I'm holding out for a playoff run. If we can get a playoff run and effectively get into maybe the divisional round or whatever, then I'm fine with that.
yeah. As I
When
say,
in the NFC, win the NFC South, and that's I'm happy with that. You know, I mean,
yeah,
we
that's
haven't
a
done it
solid
since. I mean, we're
foundation.
literally nearly going on. Yeah, we're nearly going on 10 years since we won the NFC South. So we just take it one step at a time, win the NFC South, and we then go from there. After that, anything can happen. Well,
Yeah, 100%. As I say, any given Sunday in the playoffs, you're 0-0 every week until you get Lombardi. So just need to get to the dance, and then we'll see what's what, I guess. But yeah, so as I say, we would drop the link again, see if anyone wants to come on and join us. So Maggie, if you're still hanging in the back, or Des, if you're able to copy and paste that in, just if anybody does want to come in for the last wee chat, we'll try and top out about 2.5 hours, start winding things down, because I think we've covered a lot of the main points. But in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll just go into a kind of Q&A and shoot the shit, so to speak. So if there's anything you want to hear our takes about, or anything you want to ask, just feel free to shoot it down in the chat. As I say, it's a pleasure to always be here as much as we are. The ethos of this show when we first started it out was we spoke to Maggie and said, listen, how many gaps do you have a week in terms of show per day? And she says, right, okay, there's essentially 3 days. And I went, I'll take them. They're mine. Yeah. So yeah, now you guys have the beauty of AFN content pretty much every day. And we love it, because as a network, there's nothing we love more than to see y'all interacting down in the chat, even when it flies off into lovers' tiffs sometimes, or some brotherly hatred down there. But it's all in good fun, and we love to see it. So we just appreciate y'all for, as I say, sticking with us for, as I say, 2.25 hours almost at this point. And I've been watching the numbers, and it's been 10, 15, 13 deep right now. So, as I say, we can't thank you guys enough. So keep the questions and the comments coming. We love it.
Listen, again, I'll say that all the messages I've had on X have been phenomenal. They've been positive about what we say. I don't hide the fact that, I mean, for me, it's the Atlanta Falcons and everybody else. And to be honest, you know a lot more about the actual ins and outs and the positions and everything the NFL than I do. But for me, I mean, I've seen some of the comments say all the people saying that they bleed the Falcons, which is phenomenal. I mean, that's why we're on here, because we bleed the Falcons. And don't let
research, and that's the other thing I would say, like, for the ones that are a bit more studious, or for the video gamers who are like, he plays as the Falcons, so maybe I'll have to play somebody else this time. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's not. I'm going to paraphrase some Sun Tzu for you because, as I say a lot, your boy's an amateur historian, so a little bit of Sun Tzu for you, and essentially, it can do no wrong to know your enemy. The better you know your enemy, the better prepared you can be for his attack. So, as in war, so in life, as in war, so in football, know your enemy. I still bleed black and red. And as I say, just because I like players and I can shout out your teams does not mean that I don't want, when we play, to walk over the top of you. We all do respect.
Yeah. And I'll go with an old sales comment because I've been in sales all my life. Fail to prepare to fail. That's a good one. Probably the best one is when somebody says. Probably the best one when somebody says you look as if you're under pressure, and I always say pressure's for tires.
Like that one. I may borrow that one, but I like it.
Absolutely. So if we look sometimes as if we're under pressure, pressure's for tires. But yeah, I'm excited for the season. As I say, we're nearly at the end of our 11th show. So effectively, we've spoke for nearly 23, 24 hours in the last few weeks, and in the dead zone when nothing's been happening, and we've been talking about the Falcons, and I honestly can't wait. I keep on saying I'll go back to when the Braves won the World Series in 2021, and I put on one of the Braves podcasts, and you just heard these guys screaming and shouting that they'd won the World Series. And honestly, I'm manifesting this thought into existence that we're on literally just after the Super Bowl, and we're screaming because we've just won it.
Oh, I can't wait for that show.
Yeah.
There's a few people wanting to.
Yes, George, you can run with that one. You can run with that. Pressures for tires.
That's why I love working with this guy so much, because we're both kind of well read and clever and quick enough that we're dropping hashtags left, right, and centre. You just can't stop us. So eventually there's going to be a post and we're just going to release like a list of hashtags. And it's just like, right, these are our trademarks. You can't use any of these. These are ours. But no, if you're family, you're down in the chat, you can use whatever you want. Free reign for fam. But yeah,
absolutely.
And I agree with RCD there. I hope we put up video game numbers on the Saints. Like, I hope they never take the field again because they're too embarrassed at what we've done to them. Like that would be an ideal situation.
Listen, I'll keep on saying, and I'm telling you now, this team this year, if you go and you try and do the kneel down touchdown, this team is effectively starting to attack people. That's the difference. That team under Arthur Smith was weak because they allowed that to happen without even I mean, there should have been riots in that stadium with that team. I was prepared to take players getting banned because they ain't stunted us with that kneel down touchdown. And that's how I get excited, because I look at this team. I mean, Drake London talked in his interview about the violence in the defense. There's violence in the defense. Well, I'm telling you now, this defense and this coaching staff would not have allowed that to go unpunished, and that's how I'm excited. I want my edge. I want my edges to be absolute mental and creating havoc everywhere they go. That's what an edge is there to do.
100%.
And that's what we haven't seen. that's what we haven't seen since John Abrahams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're literally going back. We're going back a generation to when we last seen players like that. Yeah, you had Vic Beasley
even
for a few
Vic
seasons.
Beasley. Yeah. But that's what I was going to say. Even Vic Beasley was a minute ago now, it seems. And another great comment here, speaking from an offensive standpoint rather than a defensive, in my opinion, everything that Mr. Blank failed to do with Vic or Matt, he made sure to do with Penix. This is what we've been, another kind of one of our buzzwords, so to speak, for the off season has been culture. And from the top down, so from Terry Fontenot all the way down to Raheem Morris, Jeff Ulbrich, Zach Robinson, it's been all the way down, top down attitude. We know the guys we want. We know the speed of play that we want. We know the style of play. We want hard-nosed, smash-mouth football, taking it back to fundamental basics and just doing it on a high level and reminding these teams like of the Falcons of old, like that grit blitz, bring that back, or at least the ethos of that back, because we've got more athletic players that can do more now. So you pair that with a grit blitz ethos, you're going to get some dangerous defenders, in my opinion. But in terms of like bringing in Vic and Matt to kind of mentor and get behind it, it all goes back to what we've been saying about obviously getting your arses in the seats and supporting the team. It's just as a culture, as a team, as a city, as a fan base, just it all seems to be going that way. We just need to continue to capitalise on it and keep making the right moves in training camp, and hopefully these guys can progress to a level where we can tick all the boxes this season. But yeah, as I say,
I'm going to say that, I mean, people can see I'm not the smallest guy in the world. I enjoy my food, right? Mm-hmm. When I'm in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, before the game, I'm getting my food and I'm coming to my seat and I'm watching the game. You're there, again, another rant, you're there to watch the game, not on the screen at the bar when you're literally having a couple of pints. You know what I mean? You're there to support the team. Get your arses in the seats and support your team, and show them that you're there in presence and not just in spirit. And when I'm saying spirit, I mean the spirit's behind me. You know what I mean?
Take a pint to the seat with you. That's all I'm going to say. If you want to drink, that's fine. I'm not going to say I'm against drinking, but take your pint and sit fucking down with it and watch these boys for real.
We shouldn't be in a position where we talk about a certain section who are phenomenal and who shout and sing and are always constantly encouraging the team. That should be the full stadium. Absolutely the full stadium. And again, I guarantee you, see when we get to a game, you'll hear me, because every time, every part of that game, I'll be screaming. So,
hell yeah.
So
you think we've got no voice by the end of our show?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
See when I come back from Wembley, I was hoarse. I could hardly speak because I was screaming so much. Obviously, it wasn't good screams. It was bad screams because it was an atrocious game. But I supported, and as I said earlier, and somebody complained about me. Because I was shouting and screaming so much, because they either thought I was going to attack somebody or, well, to be honest, I was probably wanting to attack somebody, but that was probably the head coach at the time. So, but
I agree. He was a great OC, but a terrible head coach. I 100% agree with both of you there. And that Jacksonville game told you everything you need to know. It really did.
Again, another sales thing. So we learn that effectively when you move up, we learn that you can reach your level of incompetence. And what that means is that you can be a great middle manager, but as soon as you then move up to another position, you've then reached your level of incompetence. You're great at that, but you're just not great at that. And again, that's what happened with Arthur Smith. To be honest, I've seen all the gumph about Arthur Smith only got a head coaching job because of Derek Henry, and I thought it was all garbage. And then when you actually looked at what he done, you then kind of thought, well, and
maybe it was.
I mean, but you're then seeing the Steelers doing in training 4 tight ends.
Yeah,
they're effectively they're doing an offense with 4 tight ends and no running backs, and everybody's coming out and saying this is Arthur Smith's dream. I mean, 4 tight ends. I mean,
it's going to be interesting to see how that works though. But yeah, he could have been a better head coach, but there was something missing. But in terms of OC, yeah, he was a great OC. Shout out RCD. I'm definitely not going to make Germany this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, work commitments for me as well, impossible. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Hell yeah.
Did we mention that? Let's put up. So a lot of people hate on Terry Fontenot. I agree. RCD, I mean, he's done a great job. I mean, you look at how he's built this offense and how the last couple of years he started to build the defense and how that's all starting to come about as well. So, listen, you'll remember, well, I remember when because he came for the Aints, I remember for the first few years, everybody thought he was a double agent, and he was effectively, he was sent over
Snuck
here.
him under cover of darkness, no less.
Absolutely. It's Mad Mike.
But we've got a special guest, and we've been waiting 2.5 hours almost. But you know what? See if we push for 3. It's all just more quality content. So we're glad to have you in the building, Mike. What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Man, I just got finished. You said something about darkness, and I've been binging on Ozzy Osbourne videos and tape for like the last 3-4 days. I mean, probably longer than that, but yeah, I'm a huge Ozzy Osbourne, and you said darkness, and it took me right.
Hell yeah,
it took me right to Ozzy.
I'm a big Aussie guy myself. It's like if we weren't so deep into the stream by now, I'd be asking to whip the axe out and play a little Crazy Train. But we'll keep that for another stream. We'll keep that for another episode.
But how you doing, Dave? What's going on, brother?
Well, while we're talking about Ozzy Osbourne, did any of you see the Coldstream Guards perform Paranoid? So the Coldstream Guards they're effectively the Queen's Guards, and they do special parades. And I think a couple of days ago, the day of Ozzy Osbourne's funeral, they actually performed Paranoid with a brass band.
That's pretty sick. So how's you been feeling about camp? Like, Mike, I know you guys were out there at Flowery Branch, so this is, as I say, getting the words from the horse's mouth, so to speak. But I mean, you were there. You seen some what bodies are balling, which ones are not balling quite so much, and there was one guy I wanted to ask you about specifically. How much have you seen of Braylon Trice, and how's he looking, if so?
It's kind of interesting with Braylon Trice. Like, for one, I'm gonna be transparent. I saw a little bit of it. I mean, when you going out there, and I'm not trying to sound like a hole when I say this, y'all, but like when I go to camp, I can't get a hold of everything because you have people out there that enjoy the show. So I'm constantly in so
performance mode, so to speak.
Performance. But what I saw from Braylon and a couple things is that he's more physical than I imagined that he would be. It's kind of interesting because him being one of the most efficient pass rushers in college, for me, I think it's going to translate well because his physicality as an edge rusher is kind of I don't know what the comparison is, but I would if I was forced to say it was compare. He's not a Von Miller type. He's not a Grady Jarrett type where he uses a lot of his quickness. But his power to speed ratio is kind of surprising for a guy. Like he used more power, and then once he gets into your body, he uses quickness and his athleticism. So he's kind of unique type of edge rusher. He's not like a Walker or a Pierce or those guys who's athletic freaks, but he is athletic, but he relies more on his power because he was really going at it from the few snaps that I did saw, and he was going at Matthews, and that's what I saw from Berlin Trice. His power is a little bit more than I expected.
That's great to hear because I know one thing that a lot of the fans were understating coming into the season is we could do with a bit more size, especially on IDL, or we could do with a bit more strength and power and presence in there. So I'm glad to hear that he seems to be bringing it. And again, when you've got so many different guys that can do different things, it's only an advantage because I feel like Braylon's recovered it well enough now to where he could possibly be well in contention for the 53-man roster. I think he's going to make the cut on the outskirts, but I feel like he will make it. And then it's anyone's game. If you can get on the field, then we'll see what you can do, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's the Khalid Kareem's, because the Falcons have a lot of edge. I think they have 6 quality edge guys, and that's unique in itself because we've had maybe a 2-man rotation for the last 10 years or so. And it's been a bummer for the most part. But now we have 5 to 6 quality edge guys that could get to the quarterback. Now, the numbers in itself, the sacks, the end results is important, but when you have 6 quality guys that can get after it consistently, I think that for me, that right there is more exciting than the coaching aspect of things. Because I've been critical of the Falcons and mainly Raheem Morris because I want to see the success, but I think they're going to be fine this year because they have the 5 to 6, and mainly, I think this is probably one of the most underrated aspects of this team that nobody's really talking about is Leonard Floyd. I don't think people realize how consistent of a rusher that is. Now, he's not going to blow you away with a bunch of moves, but he finishes, and that's the thing with Honor Ebiketie. Like, he has the move, he had all the skills, but Floyd gets it done. He gets it done. When you need a sack and you need 8 to 10 sacks, Floyd is going to give you that. He's not a big rah-rah guy. He's not that type of person where he's going to demand a lot of attention, but he's effective. And I think that's what Honor Ebiketie, Walker, and Pierce, they need someone that's not flashy. It's not going to do a lot of talking, but he's effective. And I think Leonard Floyd is the perfect veteran for a lot of these young edge guys.
Yeah, particularly because I've seen so much of him. And I don't know if it's just because he knows that he's the mentor, but it almost seems like on a personality basis that he and Pierce Jr. seem like fairly similar players in terms of not just the way that they view the game, but their mindset towards certain confrontations or certain situations as they present themselves. So I like that there's going to be a nice transition where the style of play doesn't have to change that much because you've essentially got a guy who's very similar in the way he reads and thinks about the game. So yeah, I think Leonard Floyd, I can't say enough good things about the position that he's in and the way that he's kind of carrying himself is almost like, I wouldn't throw the word captain out there, but he's definitely in that mix. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. But one thing I did want to say is that it also kind of boils back to something that me and Des were saying earlier about. We were talking about specifically receiver, But it's something also that goes for edge, is that it's going to get tough to make these calls because we have so many quality players, young players too. I mean, I've just seen a comment there shouting out Brandon Dorless, which is another name who is admittedly is flying a little bit under the radar for me. But again, it's just another name to throw into the mix as well. Shout out Jill, and Glaswegian, a fellow Scottish Falcon in the chat. It's good to see you on as always. We're just winding up, but as I say, Mike's on now. As I say, the link's down, so if you want to jump on and join us, anybody, feel free. But we're just chewing the fat, so to speak. So there's a wee bit of Scottish vernacular for you. So chewing the fat, as I say, would be a wee chat, a wee conversation. Sorry, Des.
While you're on, there was a lot of talk about how the D line was getting rotated constantly.
Yes.
Did you see that when you were watching?
I did, and it's an interesting thing that stood out to me, because when we had an interview with John Abraham, one of the things that he saw that stood out to me was the linebackers. The linebackers are a lot more aggressive in their probably not so much aggressive, but they were really sound in their technique, sound in their decision making, quick, fast, and they filled the gaps. And I think this year with Ulbrich, those are the little subtle things in football that you don't see. I see the defensive tackles. Those guys are holding the point. And one of the things about Grady Jarrett's game that you have to live and die with, along with Aaron Donald, that those guys can be undisciplined in their gaps a lot of times because they utilize a lot of their speed and quickness. So those are the things that affect the linebackers. So I'm kind of interested to see how Dorless, Harrison, Rook, I don't want to say his last name. I'm just going to say Rook. But those guys, if they play a lot more gap discipline, and I think Nate Ollie, being the defensive line coach, he's going to help employ that aspect because I think the linebackers are going to really kill it. Those guys were really disciplined in their lanes, and they were sound in their decision making. They trust what they saw.
That's great to hear as well. And while you're talking about linebackers, is there a true Mike, would you say? I know it says base 3-4 and all that, but would you say there is a true Mike backer in this system, Mike? Because I know again there's a few guys that are kind of in consideration, but
I would have to say Diablo. I would have to say Diablo is the true Mike. I saw Caden. Interesting enough, he was lined up on the left side of the offense, the right side of the defense. That was kind of weird to see that. So I'm assuming that that's what they're going to do with Jalen Walker, because if you look at Jalen Walker and Caden Ellis, they kind of have the same skill sets. Both of those guys can play all across the board as a linebacker in the edge. But I saw Caden playing a lot on the left side of the offense, right side of the defense.
Mm-hmm. That is quite strange to see. And I mean, we were talking earlier, just obviously based on the Madden ratings and things like that, that Diablo's not listed as a Mike, he's listed as a right outside. And I'm like, so I would need to look into that roster again and see who's actually listed at Mike. But it's easy enough to tweak and things like that. As you say, there's so many flexible guys in the front seven. Well, throughout the whole team, let's keep it 100. So, but yeah.
Diablo really stuck out to me. That's an interesting pick. So, I don't know if he's a true middle, but they're playing him like a true middle.
I like that. As I say, we need. I'm all for, while there's still some camp snaps left, trying a few different guys in that position until we find who's really kind of. Because I mean, there's not really a lot of those types of middle backers out there anymore. There's not a lot of Ray Lewis, Derek Brooks, sort of Brian Urlacher sort of guys out there anymore. The last that you could probably say would be, I don't know, Luke Kuechly maybe, of that ilk.
Yeah.
But again, it's been a minute. But yeah. So is there anything else that you've seen that's really sticking out to you, or anything else that you wanted to bring up, Mike? Because as I say, we're just winding down. But if there is anything you want to bring up, then by all means, floor is yours, sir.
I would just have to say that Raheem, he stuck to his word about allowing his coordinators to kind of run things. I like that. You know, a lot of times head coaches can kind of get in the way in, you know, kind of taking control when it's unnecessary. Like if you really want your coaches to be there and be respected as coaches, you have to allow them to do their job. And I think that's the thing when I see Raheem, and I know it's probably shocking the hell out of a lot of people right now, me saying positive things about Raheem, but he's allowing his coaches to do his thing. And particular for me, I love Ulbrich, but right now I'm loving what I'm hearing from Zach Robinson, man. I think he's a true, I hate to say it, but we have a top 10 offense this year. I don't see him coming back. I think he's done a wonderful job with this offense. And if he can get Michael Penix to pass for anywhere above 3,300 yards, I think he's out of here. I love what he's doing with that offense. You hear with Bijan Robinson, the way he likes to pronounce it. But I love the offense. I'm kind of worried about the wide receiver core, to be honest. I'm not a fan of the wide receiver core at all. But we'll see.
How so?
I don't like. I don't like this wide receiver core. It's for me. I don't really see a true number two outside of Mooney, and that bothers me. I don't know what Nick Nash is going to be. DJ Shark, and that's kind of, in my opinion, I believe that the Atlanta Falcons, they know they're probably thinking the same thing that I'm thinking. A lot of the rookies, a lot of young guys aren't really stepping up the way that they would hope. So you brought in the DJ Shark, Chark, so he can kind of fill that void because Mooney, he's out with a shoulder injury. And Ray McLeod, he's a good one, but I don't know what he is outside of a number 3 or 4. Can he step and be that number 2? I don't know about that. And that right there what scares me, especially with a young quarterback and Penix, because if he struggles for any reason, you're going to need those veteran wide receivers to be able to step up and say, all right, just do this, young fella. You know, like you need those wide receivers in the lock. And I don't know if Drake is that because he's still young in his career to kind of help bringing him along on the field, because those are things as wide receivers also. They can be the eyes and the ears for Penix. And that's why I say outside of Mooney, I know Mooney is a veteran guy. He's been in the league, 6-7 years now. I know he can be that, but outside of him, I'm worried about that wide receiver because you know people are still trying to figure out what Kyle Pitts is at this point.
I agree with you. And before I can speak about that, Joe, we're it's kind of got out of our hands now, but we're going to probably push for 3 hours because Saturday special, families in the building. So yeah, if you want to come on and have a chat, we'd be glad to have you. And that goes for all of you down in the chat. If you want to jump on and say hi, feel free to do so. But yeah, in terms of receiver, I 100% agree with what you were saying there, Mike. My only worry, I love Drake London, I love Darnell Mooney, I love Kyle Pitts, in whatever capacity he's going to be playing, be that as a receiver, a tight end, or some sort of combination thereof. But I feel like my biggest worry is that if Mooney can't bounce back, you've got essentially, 4 guys if you talk about Nick Nash as well, 5 if it's Hodge, but then you're talking about Ray McLeod, as you say, Jamal Agnew, DJ Chark, and these are all great names on paper. Like, these are names that maybe 3 or 4 years ago, for instance, playing Madden, if they come up in free agency, you'd go, okay, I'll give you a wee 2-year deal, no problem, because it was guys that came with a name with some catching ability and some proven credentials. But my worry is which one of them is going to be the guy to step up if they have to do that. Because I think Ray is a fine 3, but as you say again, Mike, can he step back? Can he step up and make himself a number 2, or at least make some sort of case? You know.
Yeah, for sure. I'm watching the great Roman Reigns right here at SummerSlam, and I'm mesmerized by his beauty.
That is a good looking man.
He's a hunk. That's a good looking hunk of a man right there, y'all.
and you know something, we're just going to throw out here as completely comfortable heterosexual males, we have no problem whatsoever.
Completely comfortable, man. Roman is that dude, man. I love Roman Reigns, man. I'm a huge Roman fan.
Hell yeah. Nothing wrong with that, your man crush, brother. We've said this before on the chat.
Hey, man, I'm gonna jump off for you guys, man. I wanted to come on and
thanks for coming on, Mike. We appreciate
I appreciate you guys. Your guys keep rocking on, man. And like I said, we'll get back with you guys real soon. Hopefully we'll get Dez on the show one of these days.
Yeah, fingers crossed, man. And as I say, any Saturday we can get you on, you're more than welcome, brother. Always great to touch back home with the OGs, so to speak. So if you haven't done so already and you're new to Mad Mike, then you know what to do. Smash like, subscribe, all those good things. Shout out to the Unholy Alliance. Keep watching, because they've got lots of good stuff coming out. Like ourselves in the AFN pretty much every day. So if you want to talk Falcons, you'll get us here. Thanks a lot for stopping in, Mike.
Mike, before you jump off, where can everybody find you?
Hey, man.
Before you jump off, where can everybody find you?
Mad Mike Sports everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, because I refuse to say X. And you can find me on Facebook at Michael Anthony Linson, Linson. All right, so look, man, our DMs are always open, as Will knows. Especially, man, I love interacting with people. I get a lot of people to hit me up. It may take me a minute, but I will respond back. You know what I'm saying? We love it. We love interacting with people. We have a Discord also. So if you guys are interested, you know, Will and I, we're in there constantly, and it's a bit
yeah, you need your thick skin for that one.
Interesting in there. I'll say that. But if you can take that, man, join the Discord. We'll have an invite for you guys. But like I said, man, Mad Mike Sports everywhere. I'm not hard to find.
Appreciate you, brother, as always.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
So it is. As we wind down, or I think we've got Jill. She was going to come in. She popped up for a second and then went away. So Jill, if you are still in the building, invitation's still open. I've dropped the link again. But in the meantime, it would
be nice if you come on. I don't think my bladder would appreciate it too much, but
no, by all means, take a break. Turn your cam off and go and take a break, and I'll hold it down.
No, it's fine, not a problem. I'm an adult. I'm fine.
Oh, the beauty's a StreamYard. You offer a man an avatar and he turns it down. but I will not have his professionalism.
I just can't work out how to do it, so I'm good now. So
you're all good. But yeah, as I say, there's been a hell of a lot to talk about tonight, and I've forgotten again because remind me in time for the next show. I've got the Falcons Super Bowl ring and well, you guys have seen the concept uniform, but the guys in the chat haven't. I've created a concept uniform for the 60th birthday of the Falcons, so I'll get that on and let you all get a look at that.
I'll say I thought it was fun. That uniform was out of this world, mate. Absolutely out of this world.
I'm glad you liked it, and as I say, like, it was a way to kind of tie it all back home, even adding in the gold chain design and things like that. But yeah, like, it's fun, and that's one of the beauties of ChatGPT.
Listen, aircraft carrier, we're always ahead. We always prepare. As I said earlier, fail to prepare to fail. So we've got everything ready. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That's how we've got the Super Bowl ring all sorted.
As I says to Moira, she was kidding me on about it, and I went, listen, I've got one black and red championship ring. I don't just want to make that the only one. So yeah,
or as Michael Penix Jr. says, yeah, I don't want just one Super Bowl ring. I want at least a couple, a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So yeah.
And I don't think it's a Desmond Ridder comment. I think this is genuine. You know what I mean?
I'm having a wee bit of difficulty adding Jill to the studio. She's coming up showing no cam. I can edit your name, kick you from the studio, or ban you, but I can't add you to the floor. So just, I'm not sure if that's your side or mine there. But we're
not wanting to ban Jill before she's come on the
show.
No. You know what I mean?
Perish the thought. Best to use Chrome or Opera. If you are coming on in terms of hosting proxies, because Internet Explorer is, well, you know what Internet Explorer is. But yeah.
Listen, if we can't get Jill on, we're more than happy to have her on next Wednesday at the same time, 8:30 Earth time.
Yeah.
3:30.
What was I say? So there's 9 minutes to go to the 3 hours. She's saying she's going to try Chrome, so we'll get to 3 hours or just over, and then we'll call it quits. So it'll give you a chance to say hello to the newest member of the AFNI, because she does hopefully want to start popping up a bit more often. But here we go.
Right, so while you're doing this, I'm just going to shout to Alexa to order me man Pampers, just in case I ever get to a point where we go 3 hours again. So, Alexa, order me man Pampers, please. So that's on my shopping basket. So
sorted.
I'm assuming there might be something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh dear! Or just set the puppy pads out next time beside the desk.
Absolutely.
Oh dear!
Absolutely.
But we'll try and keep the 3 hour ones to a Saturday only. Yeah. How did you?
There's a wee question from the aircraft carrier. Yeah. So, how did we become Falcons fans? So, well, you batter in first.
Oh, it's a great question, and it's one that I never tire of talking about. So, when I first started watching the Atlanta Falcons, the first game I ever watched was with my mum's ex-boyfriend, and she basically went, "Oh, well, what team are you cheering on here?" And I went, "I'll support the winner." It was Falcons Vikings, and Michael Vick went fucking off. It was the famous day where he ran between two DBs and split them. They ran into each other, all that good stuff. So, yeah, it was a beautiful day. And then not long after, we took Matty Ice, and the rest was history. Tony Gonzalez, Julio Jones, Michael Turner. Yeah, I was sold. And I have been a diehard Dirty Bird ever since. How about you, Des?
Yeah, so I actually visited Atlanta in 2008. I wasn't really an NFL fan at that point, but probably about a year or two after that, I started watching the game and started and kind of learned. From that point, I started watching the Atlanta Falcons games. Obviously, in the UK, you only really get a chance if you're not on NFL Game Pass. You only get.
Hi, we can hear you, Joe.
Oh, there we go. Here we go. Finally.
Welcome to the family.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. And Des, I do apologise. I know that you're needing to strap on the Pampers there, so my apologies.
Yeah.
Well, what we'll do, we're glad to have you, but we'll pass the question to you as well, because we've ranted for long enough. So, how long have you been a Falcons fan? How did you first get into the team? And
Oh, right. So I'm almost 10 years. Well, I was just discussing this with my husband actually, because I knew that'd probably be the first thing you'd ask me. So it's not quite 10 years. It's 9 years. So if you can do the math there, that was the year we got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep. So my husband is a die-hard Cardinals fan.
We're sorry.
I know. We share each other's pain every year, guys. Like, you know.
Yeah. Who's in more pain? You know what I mean?
Do you know what?
Depends on the year.
He's got about 17 years worth of pain on me. Is it 17? Yeah, 17 years worth of pain. But he used to work night shift, and the way that I got into the Falcons was he used to have Red Zone on in the background when he was getting ready for his night shift.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened to be the year we were doing ever so well. We were winning every game. Matty Ice was on fire. Yeah. We were like playoffs. We were smashing through the playoffs. And I was like, he used to, when he was going out in his shift, he was like, there's the team. There's the team that you're supporting. I thought they were the Cardinals at the time. A bird's a bird, and it was in red. So do you know what I mean? Like, it kind of felt like it was the right team.
Mm-hmm.
And only found out, like, when we got to the Super Bowl, that's not actually the Cardinals, it was the Falcons. And then we won't go into what happened there. We didn't win, obviously.
No.
But I just had this. I just had this, like, I was hooked. Like, I was absolutely hooked. I couldn't walk away from them. And I had this feeling we were going to win the Super Bowl the following year. Didn't quite work out that way, obviously. So,
no.
Yeah.
But we're long suffering then. But we're as I say, this could well be our year. But from what I can see, we do have one more special guest in the back. So come on and join us, Georgia, Texas boy. If you can hear us, we can hear you just fine, brother. Welcome to the Madhouse. So as I say, just finishing up, but as I say, if you guys have got anything that you have specifically seen, we'll ask you, Jill, first, and then we'll get on to Mr. GA. How are you feeling about camp?
I'm feeling good about camp. It's been looking good. The guys have been looking like they've been enjoying themselves out there too, which is, I think, is a really important part of it, which is, you know, it kind of felt like that fire and that kind of enjoyment wasn't there, but I've seen a lot of really good, exciting workouts that have been happening, which is good to see. It feels like the fans are all coming together and getting a bit more excited about it, which is good. There's not a lot to talk about until the guys get out in the field and do the business, but you know, at this time next week we'll have seen the first pre-season, so I guess we'll have maybe a wee bit more to talk about then. But I'm feeling excited. I've felt a bit of dread at this time of year, but for the past few years, I just don't feel that way right now, which is good to see. I don't know how the Cardinals are feeling right now, but the Falcons are definitely feeling a lot better. So yeah,
I would agree. Yeah, and in that case, while you're in a good mood, can we count that this is going to be a more regular occurrence? Are you going to start coming on a bit more often?
Well, you guys do. I mean, props, like, you're doing this quite a lot throughout the week, and it's a lot of hours worth of work. So well done. Like, when there's not anything going on, you still manage to have lots of great conversations and things to talk about. But I said the other night, maybe when the season starts, I'll jump on a bit more, and I'm pretty sure my husband will be more than happy for me to rant at you guys rather than rant at him for the full week.
Sounds good. So as we say, so we've got Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. well, as we see it, 8:30 to, we say 10:30, but sometimes it gets to a bit later than that. But as I say, we've got AFN stuff essentially every day now, so there's plenty of stuff to cut your teeth in. But what we'll do is probably get you into the group chat that we're in, just so you can start getting to meet Maggie and the rest of the guys as well, and Cam and things like that. So we'll get that all sorted in the back as well. But
Cool.
so what have you got to say for yourself, Mr. George or Texas boy? How are you
doing today? Oh man, I'm doing well. Football season here. The new era is here for the Falcons. No
Hell
reason
yeah,
to
man.
complain.
Rise up, brother. Rise up.
That's right. Rise up.
So, absolutely, rise up.
So have you been down to the branch at all? Have you seen any of the camp in person this year?
Nope. I haven't been to camp. I actually live out here in Arizona.
Ah, funnily enough. There you go, Joe.
Well, there you go. Funny that we've got an Arizona.
You need to say your... Yeah.
It's a really small
world. We'll need to say to your husband, Joe, that we need to change that Cardinals top for a Falcons top.
Like
we need to start.
Don't feel bad. My wife's a Jets fan, so don't feel bad.
I think when we talk about the teams our partners support, I think the less I say about mine, the better. I went like, she went, I don't understand the game. I went, so you're an artist. Pick the logo you like the most. And she goes, I like the fleur de lis. And I went, this conversation's done.
No. She can't. You've got to pick the ones out there. Come on, not them.
Yeah, like pick the dolphin, pick something else, anything. Oh dear.
Listen, see if you were married, that's divorce. That literally any court in the world will sign that off as a reason for divorce. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't worry, it's only an engagement ring for now, so I've still got time to work on her, you know what I mean? So
listen, well, I'd look, I could do a PowerPoint presentation. I could give her lots of different logos that she might prefer. You know, this is salvageable. I think it could be done. It's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be Atlanta. Just anybody but New Orleans.
Literally anyone. Yeah.
No, not the Cowboys.
Or the Cowboys.
You can't have the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Agreed,
I've got enough to deal with my mum, so not the Cowboys either.
Don't feel bad. My grandma's a Cowboys fan.
Oh, so we've all got it, man. The delusional fans are everywhere. If it's not the Cowboys, it's the Patriots or the Steelers or somebody who was a dynasty once upon a time, and they've not been relevant for a minute.
I don't know what it is about the Patriots, right? Because they are obviously extremely annoying fans, but I really don't mind them anymore than a Cowboys fan, because see, Cowboys fans, they just rile me up so badly and they're the worst. And I think the Aints and the Cowboys fans are in the same league as me. I really don't even care about the Patriots, even though the ultimate problem happened with the Patriots. I can handle them more than a Cowboys fan for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with these Cowboy fans. Yeah, they swear that every year is their year.
Yeah. Well, ain't going to do too well without Parsons this year as well. So it's getting worse.
No, and as we say, we played a little bit of devil's advocate earlier about. Oh wait, actually, I don't think I dropped that photo. It's the one photo from the show I never used, so I've kept it for the right time. So you guys might like this. Hold on. As I say, we were playing a little bit of hypothetical. So, is it rush hour in the ATL? And also, for the first time ever, I know number 11 is taken, but hypothetically, that's how your boy would look in red, black, and white. So that's not a bad sight, is it?
He looks amazing in it, but I think it's not going to happen. I don't think we can afford them.
No, I don't think so either. Unless he wants to play for, as I've made the joke with Des, unless he wants to play for 2 packets of Watsits and a curly whirly, there's no really much we can do.
I also had Mr. Arizona in the background going, he's in the wrong red, black, and white. I think he's thinking he's got to Arizona.
It would be a nice pickup. I see a lot of people speculating Denver as well. I think he'll go to the AFC, but I don't know. I as I say, if you asked us last year, our answer would be vastly different. But now we Walker and Pierce, not so much.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would be
Yeah,
amazing. It would be amazing, but I just
think
don't see it happening. We don't need them really. Like, I think we've got these rookies in. I think they're going to make a big difference.
Hell
And
yeah.
we've got enough going on with Kirk. I think we're needing to pay our bill on him for a little while longer before we invest in somebody else.
Listen, Joe, Micah Parsons isn't getting out of Dallas. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, money talks. Jerry Jones going to wave his checkbook in front of him, and that's going to be it. It's going to be sorted.
It's all a PR stunt, isn't it?
I know.
Like,
yeah. I know it can be a ridiculous franchise at times, but nobody's letting Micah Parsons walk out the door. It's just that would just be crazy.
Knowing that he has but knowing that he has gone through the ringer a wee bit, I think he's going to whip open the checkbook, write a 4 and go, right, the first number's a 4, and it clearly says billions, so you just add your second number in there and then I'll sign it. I think that's what he's, as you said, that's what he's going to have to do, because a few of these teams are going to come calling with some a decent offer for him, because as Aircraft Carrier says as well, you will always need a decent edge rusher. Yeah. And he's a bit more than decent. So as I say, what we'll do, that's 3 hours plus now, so we'll start winding down. But before we do, Jill, if you are cool to hang just in the back for a couple of minutes after the show so we can get a wee word with you, that'd be great. And then in the meantime, if anybody does want to put a shout out for Jill down in the chat, drop some red and blacks for our first time. Because we know it's been a few weeks in coming, but we're glad to have you on to say hello. And as I say, we'll touch base later this season. We'll get you in the group chats, and we'll keep that going. But are you on X or anything like that? Are you participating in the kind of sharing of things? And
not really, no, not really. And I think maybe if we do a little better, I might get a bit better at doing that. But are we referring to it as X, or are we Twitter people? Like, what?
Oh yeah, I completely forgot. I just said it on habit because so many people are saying it now. But of course, Elon, Elon's welcome on the show to discuss it. But well, maybe he isn't. I don't know how that works. I'll have to speak to Maggie and find it. But
I don't have anything like that going on. But I'll definitely who knows what will happen this year. I might get a bit more excited and start reposting stuff. But yeah, nothing for now. I'm pretty quiet on socials, to be honest, which is why it's taken me a few weeks to jump on here. But yeah, things may change, guys. They may change.
Cool. Well, as I say, anything we can do. As I say, I know StreamYard's a bit of a pain to get to grips with, but we've got a meeting room where we do background stuff, and we can let you fiddle about and get to grips with everything. So we'll touch base about that a little later on. But before we finish up, see, looks like another one. Thank you very much, and a salute back to you, my brother. Always happy to have all the questions, the comments, the love and support. But before we wind down, just as I say, a few last minute sort of shout outs, thoughts, that sort of thing. So let's go all the way down to the bottom of my topics here. And yeah, so in terms of social and links, before we go into that, I just again want to thank everybody who's been part of this from the beginning. So special really shout out to Maggie. Yeah, a really busy show today. Special thank you to Mike for coming on, to Jill for coming on, to Georgia, Texas boy. I know you had to pop off, but thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. For all the great comments, questions, everything. Even when you're coming for us, we love it, because as I say, who doesn't love a wee bit of a lover's tiff now and again? But yeah, Des, if the family are looking to get at you, where can they get at you?
Yeah, well, I'm on X, Twitter, Poison, if you're Kyle Pitts. So you can get me at Scottish Falcon. So find me on X, Scottish Falcon.
Great. And then as for me, I am pretty much everywhere now. So YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitter. If you don't find me through Waddell, the way it's normally spelled, Waddell, then you'll find me through my tagline, Will the Thrill Waddell, which is WAD-L. So once again, shout out to the old man for that one. But yeah, if you have any topic ideas, or if you want to, as I say, join the panel, be part of the show for future episodes, we'd love to have you. Grow this thing, because as I say, started from Atlanta, now we're here. So as I say, we're appreciative of everybody who shows us love and shares this out. So keep showing appreciation to all the creators. We'll be back on Wednesday, but until then, don't you guys ever forget that pain is international, but then so is passion. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much again.
Good night, guys.